It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Costello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Costello.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. I'm Joe Costello, and we are back from PRI. What a great show it was. We're going to talk a little bit about it coming up with Alan Reinhart. Also on this show, the Parade of Champions continues. We're going to hear from Tanner Gray on this show, the Mellow Yellow Pro Stock World Champion, youngest ever. And we're going to get Tanner's perspective of the final 6 races. It is going to be great. We are also going to hear about his future ride out there in the world of the K&N East Series and then hopefully onward to NASCAR. Tanner Gray will be on this show. Also, Paul Nero from Top Dragster will be on the show. We'll hear from Paul Nero and talk about his championship run. That is coming up. Plus a big announcement. There were many big announcements out there at PRI. We're actually going to take you back to the PRI show. I did not do a lot of audio out there because we were hustling and bustling and moving and grooving. It was tremendous. Like, we were all over the place. It was spectacular, honestly. Had a great time. We'll hear from Alan in a little bit. Good news and some bad news, the passing of Dick LaHaye. Just that was the downside, obviously kind of a shadow on the thing, but also an opportunity to celebrate his life. We'll talk about Dick LaHaye with Alan Reinhart coming up, but lots of news stories, lots of things happening. Don O'Neill, though, on this show, we're going to hear audio from Don and GK Spark Plugs to run Top Sportsman. Got a cool engine combination with Patterson Elite. You're going to hear Don O'Neill. So Tanner Gray, Paul Nero, champion interviews, Don O'Neill, plus Alan Reinhart, all coming up. But I want to thank all the great sponsors that we saw out at PRI and the folks that are helping WFO Radio stay on the air. Frankly, without these folks, we would not have the time or the ability to do this show. So please give them a little bit of love. Talking about HusseyPerformance.net, saw the David Allens out there in their booth. All kinds of cool stuff going on, making contacts for their quality copper head gaskets, some of the best in the business, frankly, and on the champion's car of Sean Bellemere. Very cool. CatSpotLitter.com, Scott Palmer, Magic Try on the side of so many cars that were on the floor at PRI. Very, very cool. These people who have cats, they buy cat litter, and it supports drag racing. It's awesome. Rodax, CoffeeAndGrills.com, saw on our Facebook page some of the listeners getting the Rodax holiday packs as their gifts, and I know as it gets closer and closer to the holidays, you're getting more and more nervous. You don't have a prize. You don't have a gift for your people. A pound of coffee, a bottle of hot sauce, and a container of the award-winning A26 Spice Rub. It will last well into the new year, and it is a great gift. Just do it. Break down. And just do it. Call Marvin at RodaxCoffeeAndGrills.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. One of my great disappointments from PRI was I was not able to connect with Frank and Lana Hawley, who I know are there from their social media, and it is one of those things you'll see people, 5 times in a row in the same hour, and you won't see some people at all. You just got to get on sync at some point. But the fact is that the Dragster Adventure at FrankHawley.com is one of the cool things you can do. It's one of the coolest things you can do, frankly, and I think it makes a great gift, and that is the kind of thing you should get for the adrenaline junkie or speed freak in your family. Let them drive a dragster. Samtech.edu, the Samtech School of Automotive Machinists booth was right across the street, or the little hallway from the NHRA stage where they were doing live streaming, and I was up on the NHRA stage for a bit and went over and hung out with Brian Massengill, talking a little bit about Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. But the fact I got to hang out with Linda, his mom, and just talk about how important CNC machining is, Motorsport EFI, these programs, learning to be a machinist and how important it is to have machinists. That was an undercurrent of the whole thing, and I could really go on and on about that. Motorsportsguys.com, saw Terry McMillan up on the NHRA stage, went by the Motor State booth area and saw Terry's dragster. Son Cameron was over there with RaceQuip. Just so cool. So cool to see motorsportsguys.com growing and people getting their Amalie Motor Oil through them. Bookmark that website. Aerospace Components, Kim Cussy, Al Cussy, hanging out on the show floor. And, of course, they've got some great products and great stuff. Brakes, vacuum pumps, shifters, anything made of billet. They're coming out of Florida, aerospacecomponents.com. But, man, one of the most fun moments I had was in the Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants booth. Hangstafers, of course, laboratories on board with JFR and DSR, and they're helping out in the machine shops. They can certainly help out in yours. But Matt Sackman is there, and Matt's a buddy, frankly. And they got the two simulators. We call them simulators. It's really hitting the practice tree from inside a junior dragster chassis, which is kind of interesting. I always hit the practice tree, with a button. And this was hitting the practice tree with a pedal against Matt Sackman. And he beat me, but we're going to move beyond that rapidly. Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants can make you more efficient in your shop. Listen, he was quicker, but man, I was super consistent. I need to play around with that thing a little bit more and find out, is there any slack in the system, which I'm sure Matt knows all about. Like, how far can we push the gas pedal down before it will actually activate whatever the switch is on the gas pedal? There was definitely a couple of hundreds in there somewhere. I was 041, 041, 038, 041, 043, 041, which has always been my MO for many years. Consistency, not the quickest, but definitely very stable. Story of my life. Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants, big thanks to them. Just such a great success. Of course, audible.com/WFO Nitro on board as well. Had a great time. Saw so many people. We'll be discussing over the next couple of weeks. But I got to tell you, I was fully planning to just have a totally taped show with Tanner and Paul Nero. And this man said, nah, man, let's do it. So many different things happened over the course of the week. And, of course, the passing of Dick LaHaye. Joining us now, he is the voice of the NHRA. He's back from PRI, and we're going to hash it all out, everything that went down, and, of course, the news of the day. Alan Reinhart joins us now. Alan, welcome back to WFO. How are you?
Tell you the truth, I've been home for a day now, and I'm almost bored already. I just, for some reason, I just don't do good when there's not an airplane in my future, and I don't really have anything pressing in the shop right now to keep me busy either. So I am in full throttle mode trying to find some kind of a project or a side trip. Either one, I don't care.
So wait, you are not a fan of Sunday morning television?
Oh, no. I actually put something on Twitter the other day about it.
I know.
No, I get up and I'm click, 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 and it's, praise the Lord, and that's all fine. Or, hey, you need to get some kind of insurance because your identity is going to get stolen,
yes.
Or, hey, you need to lose 50 pounds, or, hey, we can get your hair back, or, hey, get rid of those bags under your eyes, or something. I mean, it's like infomercial. I don't have 500 channels because I'm not going to pay for cable television when I'm gone as much as I am. I can't. It's not a financial thing. I just can't see the point of paying for something when literally, you know what it's like that now. Sometimes during the year, you're only home 3 or 4 days a month.
Absolutely.
And I'm just not going to pay for it.
Yep.
So the stuff that is available is junk on Sunday morning. And I'm basically, pulling weeds and doing laundry and begging for the football games to start.
There you go. No, I agree. And very interesting stuff. All right, PRI in the rearview mirror, obviously. And, yes, you're back. My final trip is this week. And after that, I am done going up to shoot Performance TV in Johnson City, Tennessee. And I had a great PRI show. I do want to talk about it. A lot of fun, a lot of positive feedback, a lot of good things, a lot of cool news, all of that. But some very bad news as well, as one of the, the true crew chiefing and driver icons of the sport, Dick LaHaye, passes away. And the news kind of washes over the place. And you could see, in interactions with people who had interactions with Dick, people were feeling it. I had never had friend-like interactions, more of just a big personality that I watched as a drag racing fan coming up. But to see people who directly interacted and were in it and around it when he was at his prime, both as a driver and as a crew chief, how they took it, it's tough, obviously. I know you were there. for much of it. His championships with Scott Coletta, his championships with Larry Dixon. I'm sure as a fan, as a driver, what are your memories and impressions of Dick LaHaye?
He left a very big impression on me. I first saw him race when the AHRA was coming to town in Tucson. I didn't know who he was, didn't know he was just, remember the name. When I started getting involved with Phoenix at Firebird at the time, they used to have what they called the Super Bowl of drag racing, which was a preseason warm-up event where the pros would come in. It was in conjunction with a division race, but the pros would all come in. And one night in particular, I remember, because it was the team at that time, and it was before he and Larry Minor got together, so he was still racing, just as an independent, with his daughter Kim and his son Jeff were the only crew. And they were late at the racetrack one time, just going over everything and putting the car together. And I was, young and interested and wanted to learn, and I'm standing there watching. And it ended up being a fairly late night, and they had basically a little drain pan out of the side of their chaparral-style trailer that they put a gallon or half a gallon or whatever of methanol in and light it, and that was the heater. Everybody'd go over and kind of warm their hands, and so I kind of just hung out there and watched and asked a couple of questions, and that was really my first interaction. And he remembered that going forward when I started getting more and more involved in the business. He was always very kind to me, always took time to ask questions, and was remembered that, hey, I was the guy that was just standing there because I just wanted to watch, I just wanted to learn, and was always just incredibly kind to me. If you don't mind taking a minute, I have two particular stories that I want to trade. One that was very personal and one that's kind of funny.
Yes, and let me just tell you, if I don't mind taking the time, not only do I not mind, but I am, I want to hear it. I'm interested. I think everyone is going to love it, and this is one that people are taking really hard. So of course, let's hear.
Well, one thing that everybody will tell you, Dick LaHaye had a reputation for, is he hated blowing stuff up. He came from an era where he didn't have any money, didn't have any budget, and he absolutely hated blowing stuff up, even when he started working for other people. He always felt like, it was his money, it was his budget, it was his, so he hated that. As a matter of fact, one more just real quick one. There's a famous story about the first year he went to work for Connie, and Connie had, and I don't know exactly what the number was, but let's just say Connie had, $1,000 budgeted for the season. They come in at the end of the season, and Dick had only spent $600. And he was pretty proud of that fact. He went to Connie and said, hey, look, we did all this. We saved you a bunch of money. And Connie was furious. He says, man, I write that money off. I spend it. Hey, you got to do something. Go buy a new truck. Go buy a new trailer. I got to get that money spent. But that was just Dick. He always hated spending the extra money. So he also cared very deeply about the people that worked for him and drove for him. Anyway, Columbus, Ohio, final round. He's tuning for Scott Coletta. Scott wins the race. And Scott blew a tire. And I don't know exactly what the issue was, if something on the car, something on the track, something, but Scott blew a tire. So he won the race. He stopped the car. Everything was fine. Later on in the evening, I'm walking back in through the pits, and everybody's kind of out there celebrating. And if you ever made it to Columbus back in the day, that there was an area where there was just some picnic tables and some stuff where you could basically, go sit down, have lunch, and do that. And Dick was sitting all by himself over at one of the picnic tables. So I walked over to him and I said, congratulations. And he kind of like, huh? And I said, are you okay? And he said, I think I'm going to quit. And I said, you won the race. And he said, I almost killed that kid. I said, he's fine. Everything's good. And he said, no, I've known Scott since he was born. He said, I couldn't stand it if something happened. If he got hurt in a car and it was my fault, he said, I'm going to quit. I mean, he was just so emotional and so tore up about the fact that the car he prepared at that moment he deemed as dangerous, and it really, really bothered him. And obviously after he took some time and, he ended up coming back and they went ahead and still had a lot of success while he was there. But that's the level of concern that he had. And it wasn't just for Scott. It was for anybody that worked for him or anybody that drove his car. And the second story, this is one that it became like a minor legend, at least at the time. Brainerd, Minnesota, whatever year it was, 2000, when he was working for Don Perdome, and Scott was going to come out of retirement and start racing again. So it was, I don't know, 03, 04, something like that. And I went by the pit area and talked to him, and I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I said, I'm going to start a rumor, and I want you to know where it came from. And he said, okay. And I said, I'm going to tell everybody that you're quitting the snake and you're going back to work for Connie. You and Scott are going to team up. It's going to be like getting the band back together. And he laughed and he said, nobody would ever believe that. And I said, no, Dick, I'm telling you, I can get people to believe this. I said, just when you hear it, I want you to know where it came from, that it's a joke, but I'm just starting a rumor. And he said, no. He said, nobody's stupid enough to believe that. He said, we're leading the points, we're winning races. He said, why would I leave? He said, doesn't matter. I'm telling you, it's going to work. And it's just the two of us standing there. And as dumb luck would have it, Bill Stevens, who at the time was working on the television package, came walking in. And Dick looked at me and he looked at Bill and he said, oh, hey, Bill, he said, I'm glad you came by. He said, I was going to find you. I've got something I wanted to let you know. And he said, okay. And Dick said, this is my last race working for Snake. And Bill said, what? And he said, yeah. He said, I'm going to go back to work for Connie. You know, Scott's coming back at Indy, and I'm going to go back to work for him. We're going to kind of get the guys back together. And he said, well, why would you do that? He said, well, Connie just made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And Bill said, well, I heard it was Ron Tolber that was going over there. He said, yeah. He said, I think Ron's going to help too. But he said, I'm taking the lead. And Bill was like incredulous, and he said, well, what does Snake say about this? And he said, well, obviously he wasn't happy, but I told him, I said, if you can match the money Connie's paying me, I'll stay. But, I had a lot of success over there. And Bill said, whoa, I really appreciate you letting me know. I had no idea about that. And Dick looked back at me, and he said, yeah, I guess you're right. People will believe that. And we laughed. Bill was a little offended by it. But by the time the day was over, everybody was talking about it. When I was driving out of the racetrack, I got flagged down by a couple of pretty prominent crew guys. I said, oh, yeah, Reinhardt will know. I said, hey, did you hear the rumor that Dick LaHaye is leaving Snake and going back to work for Coletta? And I said, hear it? I started it. But it actually made it all the way to National Dragster that LaHaye was going to go back. And it was just a really funny thing. And I went by and he said, nobody will ever believe that. And then just absolutely jumped in with both feet to help sell it. So wonderful guy. I always really enjoyed talking to him. He was always very, very upfront with me. I get complimented fairly regularly on the knowledge that I have about the mechanics of the car and how they work. And a big part of that is because Dick LaHaye would take the time to answer questions for me and show me things when a lot of other guys wouldn't. So I'm still fairly close with Kim and enjoy seeing her down in Gainesville and occasionally when she and Tim get out to the racetrack. But Dick LaHaye was a guy that was really, really nice to me for a huge part of my career when he certainly didn't have to be. And it's just, it's a terrible loss. Everything he accomplished is wonderful, but the person he was even better.
Just tremendous to hear you say that. And I know that over the next couple of weeks, as we continue to speak with personalities within the NHRA, I'm sure many of them are going to, want to take a moment or two to talk a little bit about Dick. Honestly, as a kid going to the Gator Nationals every year through the 1980s and 90s, saw him operate many times. Me and my dad would stand at the ropes and watch, but no personal connection other than now, people like Nicky Bonafonte and John Oberhofer, watching those guys work, and they're on Dick's crew chief tree, so to speak, and pretty amazing the mark he has left on the sport with the people that have come after him. To me, that's just incredible stuff. Also, great numbers. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. There's a great picture that you don't have to work too hard to find online of the Coletta Motorsports team when in the picture is Dick LaHaye and Ed McCullough and Donnie Bender and Jim O and John O and Nicky Bonifant and Doug Dragoo. And I believe aside from Doug, who passed away a few years ago, every other person in that picture went on to become a crew chief. And I think that they will all tell you that, one thing that Dick was really, really good about, if you went to work for him, and I mean, if you just showed up and it's like, hey, it's my first day on the job and, my job is mounting and balancing the tires. If you wanted to learn, he would take the time to teach you. And if you wanted to, and there were a number of people that for Dick, whether it was at Coletta's or when he was at Snakes, that went there because their stated purpose was, someday I want to be a crew chief. And Dick LaHaye was he was very open, and he was a tremendous teacher, and he would help you along the way if that's something that you wanted to do. And I think that's why everybody that ever worked for him speaks so highly of him. No,
just tremendous. And, the two championships, 94 and 95, with Scott kind of denying the snake there, and then 2002, 2003 with Larry Dixon helping the snake win championships as an owner. I think that's kind of ironic. And NHRA.com, of course, Phil Burgess put up an immediate photo, summary of Dick's life. Mm-hmm. And so, and just checking through that, some of the things that I didn't really fully grasp or understand is that, speaking of old school racing and drag racing, severed a hand in a crash in 1975. They reattached it, had a broken arm, lost 3 toes in a crash, earned his knowledge through tough times and on-track moments and experiences that he was able to power through and shake off.
And I think part of, because of the physical trauma that he went through, I think that's really part of why he always wanted to be sure that the car he put on the racetrack was safe, that he hated blowing stuff up. He hated burning stuff up. He didn't want to take any chance on his driver having any kind of a problem and getting hurt in a car that he prepared. And that was first and foremost. And he was also a guy, kind of like a Ron Tobler, that wasn't known for setting records, wasn't known for qualifying number one, wasn't known for being, the low ET guy every session. But, man, he was going down the racetrack. And smoking the tires is something that just, I look like an idiot. The car smoked the tires. That's any moron could do that. I hated that. There was one classic piece, and it was just not Dick trying to call somebody out, but just kind of give me an idea about how upset he would be when something like this happened. Dave Reef was very early in his television career, and he was doing the starting line reporting, TNN at the time, I believe. And the car that Dick was working on went out and smoked the tires. And Dave, hey, goes over down here with crew chief Dick LaHaye. He said, Dick, can you tell us what happened? And Dick looked at him and he said, are you stupid? It smoked the tires. And turned around and stormed off. And it wasn't that he was trying to put Dave in his place. It was just that he personally was so upset when his car didn't do what he wanted it to do. And that was one of the reasons he was so good, because he wasn't going to give anybody any free rounds. You wanted to beat him, you had to go out and beat him. You weren't going to get freebies from Dick.
And in 1987, driving the Miller American car, he won the NHRA World Championship in Top Fuel, what we would call the Mellow Yellow Top Fuel World Championship right now. And I can't help but think of, the heavy hitters that were going at that time, the legends like, Joe Amato and, Garlitz and Gwynn and others, Ormsby, all out there, and, countless others, legends of the sport. And he got it done, won the world championship.
There's two great things about that championship, Chase, and I wasn't traveling with NHRA, but I was following it pretty religiously at the time, was all year long, it was kind of the Dick and Joe show. From about 4 or 5 races in, it was LaHaye and Amato, LaHaye and Amato, LaHaye and Amato, and they kind of separated themselves from the field. And especially coming down to the wire, those two were the two championship contenders. The two things that I think are really interesting about that, Dick LaHaye never led the points, ever, until he won the championship. He and Amato raced head-to-head in the semifinals at the World Finals. And when Dick won that round, that was the first time that he had the point lead, and that cinched the championship. And he didn't even want to go up and run the final round. He said his whole deal was, I came here to win the championship. I won the championship. I'm done. And he literally was not going to go up for the final round. Basically everybody shamed him into the fact that you can't do that. You have to at least go up there and, put in an appearance. They didn't service the clutch. I don't believe they even pulled the heads off the car. Of course, back then that wasn't unusual. If the motor leaked down, okay, you didn't necessarily. But they basically didn't service the car, just put fuel in it, went up, did a burnout. It smoked the tires, which was probably the only time in the history of the world that he wasn't upset about that. But one of the great trivia things is 1987, everybody remembers the point battle. It came down to head-to-head, Dick and Joe in the semifinals. Dick LaHaye won the race, won the championship, but nobody ever remembers who won the 87 World Finals. You want to take a stab at it?
How about South Florida's own Darrell Gwynn?
Hey, Joe, I'm not surprised you knew that because he's one of your guys after all.
Yeah, well, Darryl Gwynn, he was one of the hitters of the time, Alan.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Anyway, it's it's going to be. It's just a shame. We all know that at some point our time is coming, but it still is. It's still a really sad day when you hear the news, especially somebody like that who was such an icon of the sport, helped so many people along the way, and is so highly thought of by everybody that's still out there.
Yes, absolutely. And as I said, you could see the kind of the sadness wash over many people out there at PRI. But as much as we've been dealing with negative stories like this, unfortunate stories like this for a while now, as those people, and you pointed out all the time, from the golden era, or at least our golden era of the sport, are getting to that age now where it's just part of life. But at the same time, I always say, things go on, we got to go on. It was a good PRI. People went out, and there was business happening, and there were sponsorship announcements and big things happening. And so, of course, I like to think that Dick LaHaye would want to move forward and talk a little drag racing, and I think we should do that in that. How about Jim Oberhofer, Paul Lee coming together? That is kind of a cool news story for 2019.
Yeah, that retirement didn't last very long, did it?
Yeah.
It's great for Jim. He's mostly been a top fuel guy for his career, but he obviously knows how to burn nitro, so I think that's going to be an interesting team to watch once they kind of get up and running. And as I understand it, they're not going to be out as of the Winter Nationals, but we'll see them a little bit later on in the year. And then also the new Straight Line Performance Group, the alliance that was put together there, which I think is a very interesting concept. Doug Stringer and a couple of partners got together, Scott Gardner, and have put together an alliance of independent teams that they're going to be working to try to secure sponsorship for. And the basic gist of it, I know you know this, but I'm sure a lot of your listeners don't, is, you look at a Don Schumacher organization, a Kalitta organization, or a John Force organization, and if WFO Radio is looking at sponsoring a car, you can go to Don Schumacher, put together a program, and you might not have, the WFO Radio Nitro Funny Car, but you will be supported and have signage on 5 or 6 different cars. And what the Straight Line Performance Group is looking at is cars from different categories. So if WFO Radio goes to them and says, hey, I'd like to get involved and I'd like to kind of put together some kind of a diverse program, you will have a top fuel car that will have your logo on it. You will have a funny car. You won't be the primary, but you will be involved with. You'll have a pro stock car. There's one of the kings of the no prep world is involved in this stuff. Jeanette Thornley, who runs a pro fuel Harley and is looking at moving up to running a nitro Harley. So the opportunity to make one deal, but yet be involved at a lot of different levels in a lot of different classes is what they're going to be offering. And I think there are going to be a lot of people looking at these guys and to see if this really is something that catches legs and that sponsors are interested in. If it is, then I think we'll see more of it going forward.
I love the idea, and I think back, and I heard some analogies to like the Castrol Super Team, and you remember Budweiser did something similar, different cars in different categories, so that the sponsor is still in eliminations, getting exposure all the way to the end. I love the idea. I love Paul Lee. I think he's got talent, and unfortunately had a health issue just as he was about to make a big step in drag racing, and now has kind of gotten cleared and going back out there and going to try again. Also, a lot of positive pro stock news. Shane Tucker, Nick Ferry getting together. We're going to speak with Shane in the future. Just a lot of interesting stories about the people we talked about. Bo coming back, Matt Hartford running as best as he can, a full season. A lot of interesting stories out there circulating PRI. Even Don O'Neill, our great friend and top sportsman, who we're going to hear from on this show, was able to ink like a real sponsorship and is doing something like really good. And I say real sponsorship as in big corporate deal, NGK. They want him out there running for the championship. It's going to have Patterson Elite. They're going to run an LS power plant with a supercharger and top sportsman. Very interesting stuff happening at PRI this year.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of news coming out of there. I spoke to Jason Rupert a little bit, of course, the guy who's had so much success on the Heritage Series and the Nostalgia Funny Car. He's going to be out not at the beginning of the year, but later in the year, looking at running 8 races, 10 races, potentially more, with a Big Show Nitro funny car, just kind of getting his feet wet. And he is getting some advice and some help from some pretty big name guys, so that's good. Steve Matusik, the Aeromotive CEO or founder or Grand Poobah, is going to be in a Turbo Pro mod next year, running now alongside Elite Performance, and it looks like they're going to be running, not just full-time in Pro Stock, but full-time in Pro Mods as well with a 3-car team, so that's certainly good news. There's still a lot of moving and shaking going on out there and a lot of pieces that haven't all fallen into place, but it was a very positive show and a very good vibe. I don't know what your personal experience was, but you go back in time 8 or 10 years, and there certainly were some longer faces, if that makes sense, when you go around PRI. Don't know what's going to happen with the economy, don't know what this is going to do. We're kind of hunkering down, we're kind of holding on, but it seemed when I was there, a lot of positivity, a lot of guys that are looking to grow and expand and make moves because they feel very positive about the future right now, and that's good news for everybody.
Absolutely. And, we do report negative news also, like Danny Rowe Racing suspending operations, but it's never all good news or all bad news. It's just like a trend, and I would say the trend is positive. That's how Steve Matusik is able to get together with Elite. Unfortunate for Danny. I think Danny may end up being back at some point. That's being a big businessman. Sometimes you got to focus on your business. But the bottom line is, generally, I would agree with you that much more positive sentiment than negative sentiment in the conversations that I had. Number one, a lot of positive sentiment about our work. No reason for me to not mention that. A lot of racers, race fans, crew members, crew chiefs, just interested NHRA fans stop me and say, man, they had fun this year. They had fun watching All Access. They had fun at 1 or 2 events. They liked the way things were going, and they wanted to stop me, yelling out WFO from across the hall, that kind of thing. So all of that was really good. Now, how did your track, Racing into the Future symposium go?
It was actually a very interesting discussion, and I think part of the reason is because of such a diverse group that we had on the panel. Everybody from AEM, which does really high-end electronic stuff and processors, that kind of thing. Edelbrock, everybody knows who they are. Hawley Performance, Aeromotive, and we also had a gentleman there, Mike Spagnola, who represented the SEMA Garage, which a lot of people might not be real familiar with, but they are kind of a branch of SEMA that does a lot of testing, a lot of research, works a lot with the EPA. If you're looking to get a CARB exemption or some kind of an EPA okay, you'll probably, your stuff will end up at some point in SEMA Garage. And it was all very positive. Again, there's a lot going on out there with the OEs that are getting involved in performance and going forward. It certainly is not a wide open door policy. Cooperation has opened up a little bit. It wasn't that long ago that everybody was so worried about their proprietary information, whether it was, how their processors worked or their computer stuff or this or that they just weren't letting anybody in. But the OEs now, I think, are realizing that people want to buy cars and people want to hot rod cars. And the first part of that is buy cars. So if they make it more accessible or more easy for the aftermarket to kind of get involved. And one of the other things that I thought was fascinating was the gentleman that was there for AEM works very closely with Tesla, because one of the questions I brought up is, hey, if hot rod, everybody keeps hearing about these EVs. Is there a market there? And he went, oh, absolutely. He said, we do that like every week. We've got something going on, and they've got a tremendous association with Tesla, and taking some of the technology that is brand new right now and looking at, is there a way to use this? Is there a market for it going forward? And, the fact that we've seen a few of them, but not a lot. But hypothetically speaking, if you were doing a resto rod, okay, I know you're a big Pontiac guy. Sure. You find a 77 Trans Am that's in nice shape that you would just want to do something different with. If you could put a 500 horsepower, 700 pound-foot of torque electric motor in it, that would be different, and you'd have plenty of performance. And that's something that that is actually being looked at. I mean, not that hey, next week there's going to be a kit, but going forward down the road, that might be something that's available. But it was a very interesting, very fascinating discussion, and pretty lively when everybody took part in it. And I think that's something that we might do some more of going forward. Excellent.
No, I agree. I started to notice some of that out at the SEMA show, in fact, and it's just, I know a lot of our fans are hearing that and saying, an electric motor and a classic, like Tri-5 Chevy or something, or the Pontiac you mentioned. But listen, it's not about whether or not, it's about when. And there's nothing we're going to do to stop it. Some people are going to choose it. Others may not. But, aren't we all interested in technology at some level? Like whatever it is, like this whole sport, isn't that what it is? People that are kind of interested in things that change and move and evolve, that's part of it.
I think so. And I also think that, just from a outside of the box, it's, I always, when the sport compact movement was growing and was a big deal, and there were a lot of the old hot rodders about, they didn't like the sound, didn't like those things, they're not real hot rods. And when I was a kid, it was tail end of the muscle car era, and kind of in the gas crunch era, late 70s, early 80s. And at that point, the 10-year-old cars that were affordable were the muscle cars. And there weren't a whole lot of Copo Camaros sitting on corner lots, but there were plenty of 350 Camaros sitting on corner lots, and there were plenty of 289 Mustangs or 302 Mustangs or 340, 383 Challengers or Chargers, and that's what we bought because they were affordable. And then we bought a manifold, or we bought headers, or we did whatever we did to try to pick up the performance because that's what we had. And then when you looked in that era of, the late 90s, early 2000s, what was affordable for the young people were the 5, 6, 7-year-old Nissans and Toyotas.
So true.
And so they bought those things and then said, how do we make these things faster? They weren't any different than us. They were just taking what was available to them. And going forward, the electric cars they're never going to take over the world, but they're going to become more predominant. And there are going to be people that don't know how to check the oil and that don't want to work on the stuff. But, man, they think a 55 Chevy is a cool car. So if there was a way to make one of those an electric hot rod, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
It's never going to be the entire market. But if I'm in the aftermarket and I see an opportunity there to potentially make some money or doing something, why wouldn't I supply that technology?
Well, exactly. And that is very interesting. I would even like to see an electric class in Comp Eliminator or something at some point. But I think that's happening. Garlis is out there pursuing his 200-mile-per-hour deal. I think that's happening. And, no sound. That's the only, the real downside. No sound. We love sound.
Yeah, that would be kind of weird. One of the other things, though, and it's something that I never noticed, and you may have because I know that you pay attention to this stuff, but when we were talking about the manufacturers, the OEMs, and how focused they are on performance, at the Ford Motorsport display, which is massive at PRI, did you notice there wasn't a single car there that didn't have tremendous aftermarket accessories on it? They had the twin turbo truck. Mm-hmm. They had a Fox body that had one of their crate motor deals in it, but they didn't have, hey, look, here's a new Mustang, or hey, look, here's a new Lightning pickup, or hey, new here. They had, hey, here are our vehicles that the aftermarket has tackled. And I just thought that was a really interesting kind of point of view for a manufacturer to go, we're not showing off what we can sell you, Brent. We're showing off what you can do with the products you buy from us via the aftermarket. And I thought that was a very interesting part of their display. Absolutely. The car is a canvas for personalization. And, that's what people want to do. And they're on it. And they realize there's a lot of money to be made there, too. If people want to do stuff to our cars, why don't we be the ones to sell them some of the cool stuff to do? Simple. And it was good. If nothing else, we'll sell them the cars, and then they can go do whatever they want with them. But you got to have a car to start with. Exactly. No, it was a great show, very interesting. Too many stories to recount, but a great time had by everyone that I spoke to. The NHRA booth was rocking. I saw you up there. I know Brian was up there. I was up there a little bit. Some cool stories. That's all going to be on NHRA.com. They streamed it out. Just fun stuff, a fun show, and most importantly, and I know you make this point a lot, and I'm finding it to be so true, kind of like the last, get-together
for the racing community. Like, hey, everybody, happy holidays. Everybody kind of sees each other, takes a few minutes, says happy holidays, and then heads off to, Christmas time and holiday time to recharge with the family. And that's what it was. And I love that aspect of it, like kind of final parting ways after a great season of work.
And I still, the most important thing for me, and I agree with what you said, and, I certainly said Merry Christmas 1,000 times when I was walking through there. But the most important part of that to me is an opportunity to just sit down and chat with some guys that I do a little bit of business with throughout the course of the year, but I never see. With the way the world works right now, when you could probably get by for the next 5 years and never talk to a human being as long as you had access to text messaging and e-phone and emails.
Yes.
And it's really nice to go see Dick Maskin and say, thank you. I appreciate, you helping me. I appreciate your guidance when I'm looking for parts or trying to put the right combination together, or going to see Wayne Jessel or Paul Lee or any of the guys out there. And also an opportunity to go around and look at some new stuff. And, one of the things that I never realize it until I get home. I have about 60 business cards. And I don't grab business cards just because I want to collect them and see, how many. I don't want to set the world record for business cards. But when I'm walking through and I see something, it's like, would that work in this application? Or do you have a part that would work in this or something? And chat with the person a little bit. And I said, let me get your card, because now I know I can find you online. And one of the companies that does did you see and I don't even remember the name of the company. I'd have to dig through my pile of business cards. But they do the oval, low-profile stainless steel custom exhaust. Did you see that?
No, did not.
They have a kit, okay? And, we're talking, obviously, like street rod, resto mod, slam down, tight clearance places. They have a kit that is basically a giant erector set, and they'll send it to you. And you put this thing together on your car, and you can make, like, every angle and every deal, and it's 2 inches tall and 4 inches wide. It's all oval stainless tubing. And you take this kit with all these little pieces, and you basically build a snake of exactly how your exhaust has to fit, where it has to be, and make it clear everything. And then you take that off, you send it back to them, they use that as a pattern, make your exhaust types, send them to you, and they fit perfectly.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, super.
And I was talking to a guy, and if anybody's interested, just, have them call, leave you a voicemail, send you an email or whatever, and I'll look up the card. But, I told the guy, I want to talk to him for a couple of minutes, and he's like, look, here, we send you this great big erector set, and you build it, and you send it back to us, and then we send you pipes. And I went, yo. And he said, is that something you knew you could use? And I said, not very often, maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years. But I never knew I could call before.
Right.
And now I do.
There it is.
So the next time that shows up, I now have a source for that. But that's one of the great things I like about the show is there's a ton of stuff that I've run across that's like, I didn't even know I needed one of those. And now I've got a source for it. So that's a big part of it for me.
Absolutely. All kinds of good stuff. DI 30 under 30. Just a great coming together of racers from all across the globe, really. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. People need to know this was going to be like a, in the can show. We've got Tanner Gray going to be on, Paul Nero going to be on, but we decided, and I got to say, I was ready to, go with what we had. And Alan Reinhardt's like, no, let's get together. And we did. And thank you for that, Alan. It was great. Little motivation. And this has been a great conversation about PRI. Plus, we're going to hear some audio from Don O'Neill. Tanner, of course, Paul Neary. We're going to hear from it. But, great catching up out there. Good times.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And now we've got a couple of weeks where we can talk about whatever any listeners want to, I guess, right? Or we'll just news of the day as it comes along, and we'll keep up on top of that.
Sounds like he's asking for questions, folks. I don't know. That's the way I took that. Send some questions. Joe
sure,
at WFO.
We haven't done Stump the Dummy in a long time. Fire away.
Joe at WFOradio.com. Questions for Alan Reinhardt. They don't have to be tech questions. He's done Nitro School 50 million times, but no birthday shout-outs. I know that's not what we're looking for. All right, Alan.
Joe does the birthday shout-outs. I do the technical stuff.
Exactly. Alan, great job. Good seeing you out there. And, thanks for starting us off right here on this edition of WFO Radio. But, of course, a whole season. It was great.
Joe, my pleasure. Enjoy the short winter break. I will talk to you next week, and we'll be back at it out on the road before you know it.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Alan. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here at the start of WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. And I just want to say to all you folks who said what's up out there at PRI, so many people saying WFO as I'm walking around. And it's really crazy because I can gauge like year-over-year growth on this alone. And it was really outstanding and fun and cool and just seeing so many people. And if I didn't get a chance to, hang out with you, it's just the luck of the draw because it was fun. It was packed. It was fun. A lot of positive sentiment at PRI. And we'll speak with Don O'Neill later on in the show, audio from the Indiana Convention Center. You will hear that later on in the show. But what we're going to hear next is Tanner Gray because the Parade of Champions on WFO Radio is still going. That's right. Mellow Yellow Pro Stock World Champ Tanner Gray and RacingRVs.com top dragster world champion Paul Nero, both going to be on the show, plus Don O'Neill. I'll tell you a couple little stories from PRI, but really this week, though, I'm up in Johnson City, Tennessee. I'll tell you all about that for the recording the early 2019 episodes of Performance TV on Motor Trend TV, formerly Velocity Network, and it's still Velocity Network. I guess it's going to change or will change soon. Bottom line is Performance TV is not changing. We'll be back after the turn of the year, but I'm headed to Johnson City. It's snowing. It's freezing. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to dealing with the weather. Bottom line, though, WFO is always available for you. We work hard to make sure you get the show, thanks to great sponsors like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Frank and Lana were out there at the show. I did not get to catch up with him. It was a bit of a bummer. But I can tell you the Dragster Adventure is a great gift for your friends who are, let's call them adrenaline junkies, but they could be a speed demon, they could be an adrenaline junkie, they could be someone that loves doing a doer. The Dragster Adventure, 130 miles per hour in the quarter mile, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. You driving a dragster or your friend, whoever getting this gift, whoever that happens to be, and they go all across the country with this program. So it's not like your friend, whoever's going to get this gift, is going to have to fly to Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, and you're giving them a bill, like, hey, man, here's money you got to spend. Bottom line is they go all around the country, get them a gift certificate from Frank Hawley, and then they work it out, whether it be Woodburn, Oregon, or Houston, Texas, or Joliet, Illinois. They work it out, and it is a great, great thing. 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Go to frankhawley.com. Check out all the information. Driving a dragster in 2019. I think it's the right thing to do. The Dragster Adventure. Check them out on frankhawley.com. All right, when we come back, Tanner Gray.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the motorsports guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website at motorsportsguys.com. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all, but most importantly, oil, Amalie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check him out, motorsportsguys.com.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
It's awesome. It just changed 9 guys' lives.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I love what I'm on, brother.
Go to the App Store, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets. You got to call David directly. 724-318-8292. Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets for you engine builders out there. These guys are supporting WFO. Check them out. It is husseyperformance.net.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Gourmet coffee, hot sauce, spice rub, everything good. Rodax.
Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radio. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to NHRA Nitro podcast, and you can get the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're hearing me say this, you're probably already getting the podcast. But the bottom line is that you might be listening on Facebook or Twitter or who knows? Who knows? Subscribe to the deal. And the new Apple phones are giving me like notifications. WFO is now available for you. And it is a great way to do it. If you're going to download the WFO Radio app, push notifications are mandatory. You don't have to do it. But it's a good thing to do. Push notifications, enable them on the WFO Radio app. That way, when we open the phone lines on our Ignition show, then you can call in. And it is kind of cool. Now, Alan mentioned questions a little bit earlier. 954-889-6796 is our voicemail, and you can leave those questions. Yeah, my name is Reggie. I want to know, this and that about these subjects. WFO. And that's it. And you hang up the phone. Or you can record it into your own mobile device, which Apple phones have a voice recorder. And I know Android phones have those too. Just record your voice. Hello, this is Len. I'm calling from Iowa, or better, Duluth. And here's my question, WFO. And then just email it to me, joe@wforadio.com, whenever you want to do it. It's great stuff. It's great stuff. All right. Tanner Gray coming up. I want to tell you about samtech.edu, though. Brian Massengill, Linda, the whole team over there. They were out there at PRI, and very cool. Had many related conversations that I wish I could have looped in Brian Massengill on about young people and careers and CNC machining and how much these machines do and how great they are and all of that. And what we're trying to tell people is to start your education at full speed. Become a high-performance engine builder or machinist. Motorsports EFI. They have the GI Bill. They have financial aid. Go to samtech.edu to find out more information. This is the kind of thing probably for someone with most of their life ahead of them. But maybe you just want to learn how to tune Motorsport EFI. That is up to you. Go to samtech.edu or give them a call, 713-683-3817. That is samtech.edu. All right, time to get into it with our next champ. We caught up with him, the youngest world champion in Pro Stock, Tanner Gray. Joining us now, he is the Mellow Yellow Pro Stock world champion, youngest ever. Tanner Gray is back. Tanner, welcome back. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
It's over now. You are a champion. I know you wanted this from the time you got in a car, but it was a little harder than maybe you would have expected, but not much, man. Second year. You're a world champ. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it feels really good. There was a lot more struggles than what people, can actually see from the outside. And to have it happen in my last year racing Pro Stock is, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited for you and your future career. You probably know, I've mentioned that we have interest in the round track world, certainly the highest levels, and to know that we know somebody that is going into that fight, that is going to be a lot of fun for us down the road, keeping track of your races, your career, where you're going, all that. But let's debrief on this, in that the countdown is so challenging. You found that out a year ago. Going into the season, were you keeping the lessons that you learned in the 2017 countdown right at the front of your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. You take everything that you learned from, the season before that and try to apply it. Like every track that we went to, I'd think of what I did right there and what I did wrong there, and then try to, not make those same mistakes again. So, it was definitely a better year for us this year, obviously. And it was a really good year for me just because I was able to apply what I learned from last year to this year, and it really paid off for me.
Going into the countdown races, we had made a big deal about Pro Stock over the course of the season, and how close it was. Frankly, there were several drivers that had a wide open opportunity. Greg was really strong all year long, maybe had some trouble breaking through for wins. Drew, your teammate, Jason came on strong at the end of the season. Erica and Jag back with a resurgent year. So going into the countdown, we knew you had a strong car and a strong team, but nothing was guaranteed. You were going to have to fight for it. Did you guys have a meeting, a pre-countdown strategy session? Did Dave call you guys in and kind of like map out what you wanted to do? Take me to the point after the U.S. Nationals where you're gearing up for a 6-race championship run.
It's funny because, none of us have ever really been that way. We've never been the type of group to sit down and have to give each other a motivational speech or whatever to get going. We all just kind of, know what we have to do, and, we let each person do their job. And, I think that was, the main thing of what we did throughout the countdown is we just, we all put our heads down and focused and, just tried to make the best out of the situations that we had in front of us. And, we just did a really good job of that. We qualified average, I guess you could say, and then, raced really, really good on Sunday. So, that was pretty cool. But, Dave never had to talk to me or any of the guys, and, vice versa. I mean, we never really said anything to each other. If a mistake was made, we knew that, they'd gather themselves back up and get going.
Number one qualifier out at the Dodge Nationals. You go to the semis, and it's your teammate, someone who runs your power, Drew Skillman, who was able to get by as he slowed up a little bit in the semis, and he had his, a very strong run. And so you got to the semis, though, which is, in my opinion, you got to get to the semis in countdown races if you're not going to win them to have a chance. And so that semifinal finish, followed by a victory at Gateway, that set the tone. Now you are looking strong with 4 races to go. After those first 2 performances, are you guys feeling like, hey, man, we're in this, or are you not thinking about results at that point yet?
Yeah, I felt really good about it because, I know everybody says that, they should have won the race, but in Reading, I feel like that was our race to win. We had just a small problem with the tune-up there in the semis, which cost us. We slowed up a couple hundredths, and it was just all because of the EFI that they run. Those systems are pretty inconsistent and whatnot. But if that wasn't to happen, then that puts us in the final. And to be quite honest with you, I feel like I could have beat Vincent. So I felt pretty good about that race. And then going to St. Louis, we obviously did really well there, ran well on race day. And so, I felt like, the whole time, if we just kept doing what we were doing and being consistent with what we were doing, I felt like we would be able to win. The character of the people that are in the competition, I think, is cool in that we got great personalities. And I look like, all right, you in the semis at the Grove, you lose to Drew in the race you just told us about. You thought you could beat Vincent. Well, on the semifinals at Gateway, you got to run Vincent, and you did beat him. 0-19, you left first, and then in the final round, you run Drew, and you beat him. So kind of exercising the demons a little bit of the previous 2 races. Then you go on to Dallas, 3rd race of the countdown, pivotal. It's crazy the way it works with the countdown, that every race builds upon itself, and you're able to go down to Dallas and pick up another win. So now the competition is starting to think, oh, man, Tanner's got it rolling, and you certainly did. So coming out of Dallas, let's talk a little bit about that. After a big win down there at the Texas Motorplex, you've got to be feeling it. Yeah, no, we were definitely, in a rhythm, so to say. And, everything just seemed like it was kind of falling our way, there in the semis. I guess it could go either way. Matt Hartford went 300 red, and I kind of saw him leave out of the corner of my eye, and let my foot off the clutch, and then realized that the light hadn't even come down yet, so then tried to push it back in and then let it back out, and ended up double clutching it and costing us the run. But everything just kind of worked our way, and we definitely had a few lucky rounds, but everybody needs them. Throughout the countdown. So, I was pleased with the way Dallas went for sure.
You ran Jeg in the final round. You left first. And in your win over Drew at Gateway, you had a 004. In your win over Jeg in the final, you had an 012. And now the countdown is starting to shape up as a driving, clinic or display by Tanner Gray. In the big rounds that mattered a lot, you were able to go out there and have great success. Of course, we're building towards the Auto Club finals, which were just unbelievable in terms of your driving ability. Out at Charlotte, kind of an interesting situation. Jason Line, who you have said, the guy is like a second dad to me. He gives me advice. He's, you guys pick at each other in a very fun but respectful kind of way. You and Jason in the final round, and you were coming off just a great day, beat Alan Przinsky, Alex Laughlin, and Erica with 00 lights, 006, 008. Now you got to run Jason in the final round. You're 044, and he's able to get his first win of the year. Great for you in the countdown. How are you feeling after that race? I saw you in the winner's circle hanging out with Cody Anderson, so you felt at home. But did you feel like you let one get away, or did Jason use some mental games on you? Tell me about that final.
No, I definitely felt like I let one get away because, all in all, that race should have been one of my easier ones to win. With the way that I was driving and whatnot, it felt like it was nothing for me to go up there and let the clutch pedal out and be anywhere from, middle 00 to low teen. And, I don't know what was going on, but it just seemed like every time I went up to the starting line, I was able to do that, and I felt comfortable doing it. I didn't really feel like I was having to work real hard to be that good. And I don't know if I just got, complacent with the way the day had worked out or what, but, going up there against Jason, I felt really relaxed, and I felt like a lot of pressure had been taken off just because, how the day had worked out. I just went up there and took my time and rolled in and decked it. And I don't know if I really don't know what happened, to be honest with you, but I know the light came down, and in my head, I was like, damn, that wasn't good. And, rolled it off in high gear, and he was out there. But, if I was going to lose one to someone, I don't mind losing to Jason compared to some of the other people out there. So, it was cool. It was kind of sucked that, we lost the race there and could have gone 3 in a row. But at the same time, it's cool for Jason to get his first one of the season and whatnot.
I appreciate it because Jason was in a great mood, and because he was in a great mood, he invited me and Brian Loans to get a tour of KB Racing, and so that would have never happened. So just put it that way. Think about that. Like, hey, I lost, but because of it, Joe got to see KB Racing.
Yeah, you're welcome, Joe. Thank
you very much, Tanner. Now, by the way, that is very true. Very true. Moving on to Vegas. And you mentioned the way things worked out. Like, I noticed that you, my opinion is that you let go of it real quick. Like, disappointed I lost, but you were winning the war at that point because no one else was, like, stepping up or taking advantage. If Jason wins, he's not in the points at that point. So now we're moving on to Vegas. Next race. Go to the semis, which is vital. You run into Erica. Erica has been tough since the early season flare-up of the rivalry. You had won the majority of the races, the critical races, you were able to win. And in fact, I'll tell you, Jed Coughlin told me that he goes, hey, it's not like we, meaning Elite and competition, haven't had chances at Tanner. We've got to run him. We've run him a bunch. Erica's run him. Haven't been able to beat him. He's beat us. That's why he deserves to be the champ. That's what Jeg told me, and I thought that was great respect to you. But in this particular one, Erica got around you by you left first, 5,000. I know that's important to you, but she got there first and went to the final against Bo. But at that point, though, your semifinal finish really made it, let's call it a foregone conclusion, that the championship was yours. So how were you feeling at that point?
Kind of up and down. We were able to obviously, capitalize, or we had won second round, and then when Jeg had lost second round, I felt pretty confident that, we could just race really, really smart and conservative from there on out and get the championship. But, at the same time, I was kind of disappointed after Jeg lost second round. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. Because I thought it'd be cool for me and Jeg to race in the semis and, be able to kind of go at it head to head. But, in the semis against Erica, that same thing with Drew happened. That happened to us in Reading. It happened right there in the semis. For whatever reason, the tune-up just kind of took off, and, that really should have been a race that we won. I felt like I had missed the tree right there, maybe a little bit. I don't remember what it was, but, going into Vegas, I was a little bit nervous just because Vegas hasn't really been my best track as far as reaction time goes. For whatever reason, I always seem to slow up about 100th there. And I knew, with the way Charlotte went there in the final, I knew people would definitely be trying to play games and whatnot, trying to have a chance at us. And, surprisingly, nobody did. But, I was kind of worried about going into Charlotte just because I knew that I needed to be good. And, when I showed up, for whatever reason, I had my best race that I've ever had there at Vegas, and hit the tree really, really well. Raced good on Sunday, and then for whatever reason, when I went up against Erica, the tune-up just kind of took off and went crazy on us. But I was bad that I lost, but at the same time, we had a really, really good points day, and I knew going into Pomona that it'd be tough for Jake to get around us.
And there you have it. Final race, Pomona. Grandfather's in the house. Your dad's going to race, but got to wait until after you clinch with qualifying points and all of that. End up qualifying 6th, and as, luck would have it, you got to run your dad first round. And I think that's just awesome. You guys, did long burnouts and a little celebration. I know, I talked to your grandfather, and he was beaming, super proud, happy for you, happy for the family. And here's one that you can just go out and kind of enjoy and just try to leave your mark. Final race in NHRA drag racing, at least for now. Tell me about that weekend. Your reaction times were off the chart. 002, 003. You're trying to go 00 in all the rounds of eliminations. That kind of came up short in the semis. But to even set that goal for yourself, tell me about this final race. You're the champ. You're trying to win it, to win out. Had to be a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, we had clinched the championship, and we obviously wanted to leave our mark there. In Pomona, I'd never won the World Finals, and my dad won it there his first year. So I thought it'd be cool to that was Gray Motorsports' first pro stock win, and I thought it'd be cool to make it their last. And we just had a really, really good day. Got to race my dad first round, and obviously me and him were kind of going back and forth, taking back and forth at each other. And I was able to be 002 against him. And then
let me pause you right there. Was your dad let me ask you this. Was your dad going to try to beat you and kind of sour your championship season? We know that Steve Torrance, his dad Billy, was definitely trying to sour his championship and perfect season. And, Shane hasn't raced in a while. He's real good, though, but a 54 with a 9, you're 002. You looked like you were worried that this guy, your dad, might try to kind of rain on your parade just a little bit.
Yeah, no, he definitely was. He went up there to win. He obviously, that was his last pro stock race, and, he obviously wanted to win his last one, too. So we were definitely going up there to beat each other. I think that was probably the most serious both of us had taken racing each other. And, I went up there and, I had that same goal in mind. I wasn't really too worried about red light or anything like that. I was just like, I'm going to go up there and crack the tree the best I can each and every round. And, if I red light, if not, I want to make sure I'm 00. And, went up there and Dad kind of staged on top of me. And it just kind of worked out. I decked it and saw the light come down and knew I had wrecked it and put it in high gear, and he wasn't over there. But he made 2 runs on the car that whole weekend and ended up running within 100th of me there in the first round. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then, like I said, we went up there against Eric the second round, and knew I was going to have to be good, and was able to be 3 and went on a hole shot, I believe.
Yes. She outran you by 1,000. So yes, technically whole shot.
Basically even. But and then in the semis, I got to race Jason again and wanted to make sure that I didn't let what happened in Charlotte happen to me again there. And I guess maybe I tried a little too hard. I don't know what was going on, but I was 20 against him. And
he's trip zero, by the way. He's trip zero
he's
on
triple
you.
zero on me. I'm like, I got out down there, and I was like, man, that's cool. We won. I think I rolled up, and you were the first person I saw. I was like, what was that? And you're like, 20. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, he's 000 too. So I feel like that was a little bit of a lucky round. If he went to Shook, then we probably would have been going home. But then there in the final, I wanted to make sure I was good again and missed it by a foul. But, Drew ended up going red and, ended up being able to get the win.
And then it's over. It's the crazy thing about the NHRA season. You're in this fight, and everything is happening, and then it's just over. You won the race. We know that the incredible stat that all the champions won the Auto Club Finals for the first time ever. That's pretty insane. And then the parties break out. And tell me a little bit about the moment where, you're a man now, but as a 45-year-old, I view you as a kid. And I'm sure you understand that. Your grandfather, your father, your mother, your family, like all of these people who have invested a lot of money, a lot of time in this, and now you've delivered. Like you've succeeded as a family. To me, that is the best. Like, I want to know about that moment where you guys are able to kind of wrap your arms around each other and just enjoy your success as a group.
Yeah, no, that was probably more Saturday when I wrapped up the championship. Then, I know that like hugging my dad, my mom, and my grandma and grandpa, and all the guys on the team. It was pretty hard to not cry, and I was trying not to. I got a little choked up there when they were interviewing me up on the stage, but man, it was just really cool. The family and all those guys have been working really hard at getting a pro stock championship. And I used to watch my dad come home and be so stressed out and upset because things weren't going right. And I can remember him coming home and being upset because he felt like he wasn't doing a good enough job up on the starting line. And I know at one point he'd kind of given up on the whole deal, him and my grandpa both. And to be able to come in and drive for him and kind of see the whole program turn around, was really cool. I mean, it seemed like, all the people started working really good together around there. And, everybody just did a really, really good job of working together and putting their nose down and working hard back at the shop. And, I was just really proud of everything that they were able to accomplish and do.
That is great to hear. And so now, you've got, you did a great job with your speech, by the way. Short and sweet. Can never go wrong with that. Excellent work at the banquet. I know you had fun. It was a good time. But, now you're on to something different. What, when you look back at your time in the NHRA, I certainly hope the good news is this is a sport that you can run. Like, you could choose to go to 50 years old and then maybe come back. You know what I mean? Like, this is a sport that will be here for you. But when you look back at your time in NHRA, give me your impression. Like, obviously you had fun along the way, but is there a lasting impression that the competition, the racing, the cars, the people have left on you that you're going to take forward into your next opportunity?
Probably just the mental toughness side of it. You got to be pretty tough mentally to race out there. You got to be able to let go of things pretty quick. But that's kind of the only thing that you can take from it. I mean, it's just the two different worlds, and it'd be tough to take anything that I learned from the pro stock car and put into that. Physically, I mean, you can take a lot of stuff mentally, but, the competition's so tough out there and the racing's so close and tough. You gotta be pretty mentally strong to be able to go out there and win time after time. And, so I think that's definitely going to help me, in the circle track stuff, but, I don't know. We'll just have to see.
So you're going to DGR Crosley Racing, and David Gilliland has got a pretty solid team. They won the championship a year ago, if I understand correctly. And so you're going to be
this year.
So this is a championship caliber car that you are getting into in the K&N Series. That has got to be great news for you. But also, it's on you. Like, you know that this is good equipment. Have you been over there? Are you going over there? Are you getting, like, what's happening? Getting seats poured? What happens when a new driver goes into a team like that and begins a transition from drag racing to oval track racing? I know you have oval track experience, but to go back over there, what's all happening?
Yeah, no, so basically the plan is to start fresh. I mean, I pretty much, when we signed up or whatnot, we told them that, I want to be able to get in the car, and I want them to show me, everything I need to know, from, how to start the car to how to get it around the racetrack. I want to learn the way that they think is right. And, and I have full confidence in everything they say, because obviously they have been successful. And, I've just left the shop not too long ago, and, just try to go over there and hang out and get to know the guys and, learn a little bit about the cars. I've been watching quite a bit of, film, try on different tracks, just trying to learn as much as I can. I've tested once in the K&N car, and I think it went well. I was pleased with it. I mean, you know me, I feel like I can always be better, but I was definitely pleased with the way it went. It took me a few laps to get used to it, and then once I settled in, I felt like I was pretty decent. And then we're working on getting out and testing again. Just right now the weather's so cold. We were supposed to go test this week actually, but the high is supposed to be like 30 degrees down in Virginia where we want to go test. And so we got to wait another week, and hopefully it'll warm up. And then right now we're talking about running some late model races before the K&N season starts. Maybe run a few speed week races a couple days before the K&N race in New Smyrna, just to get my feet wet and get me back in the rhythm of circle track racing.
That is great. Now, okay, you've taken a lot of time with us, first of all year long. Thank you for that. And even right here, middle of your day, but I do appreciate it. A couple of questions that people have been asking me that maybe you can answer. Like, first of all, in drag racing, hopefully you don't ever have to worry about someone wrecking you, but these, the NASCAR guys, people are saying, aren't they going to just put him in the wall, this drag racer kid that's coming in? Aren't those stock car guys going to just, do stuff to Tanner that we don't understand here in drag racing land because it's against the rules? What would you say to fans of yours that want to watch you over there that are concerned that that's going to happen, that, the stock car guys are going to make it hard on you?
I mean, I think that everybody, if you're racing, I feel like everybody's going to try to make it hard on you. Nobody's just going to let you by, or, I don't think that, when I lined up against Erica this year, or Jason or Greg or anybody like that, I don't think they were really taking it easy on me. So, I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, everybody's going to race hard. I'm going to race hard, and so are they. And, I really don't think that, I'm going to be racing someone on the stock car side and they're just going to turn me and wreck me into the fence. I mean, that does happen sometimes, I guess, but usually there's a few events that lead up to that. I'm not going to be passing someone clean and the guy just wrecks me.
Right.
They do have some rules out there, and so I feel pretty good about that. And even at that, the cars are safe. So, I'm looking forward to it, and I think everybody at DGR is too, and I'm ready to get going.
And finally, I just had someone call in not, like a week ago or something, like off the air, just curious, and you might not be able to answer this question, and if you can't, don't answer it, but maybe you can. All the pro stock stuff. Where's, what's happening with that? Are you guys going to hold on to it just in case? Is it moving on? Is someone getting it? Are there going to be drivers? Like, I don't know the answer to that, and I think people are curious. What is the plan for this championship caliber equipment?
I think they just need to sit patiently and wait and see what happens.
No, I'm glad you answered it that way. Exactly what I'm looking for. But hey, boy, man, that's a good opportunity for someone out there. Tanner, thank you very much. I wish you congratulations. What you've done in the NHRA has been very entertaining. And you know me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for entertainment. I'm looking for interesting people with colorful character, and that is you. You've done a great job in the sport in your couple of years in. You've always been I know you've battled against some of the internet people out there, but I think you've always handled yourself very well. You've always been great to come on this show, and it was a lot of fun watching you go through the process. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And, of course, I wish you the best of luck for the remainder of your career. You got a lot of years left, and whatever type of racing you choose, good luck.
Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it. Make sure to stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Tanner.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Later. Tanner Gray, Mellow Yellow Pro Stock World Champion with us here on WFO Radio. Just a great story, great kid. Yes, he fought through all kinds of adversity on and off the track and got the championship won and done, and that's great. Very interesting to hear him talking about the equipment. Everyone was asking me about the equipment out at PRI, just asking, like, what's going to happen with that stuff? And all kinds of just interesting stories and sub-stories about Pro Stock that will reveal themselves and be discussed during the winter break on WFO. Maybe that's, one of the questions you want to send, like, what's up with Pro Stock? Let me tell you, my hot read on the 18-race schedule. Hot read. Positive. I think people are deciding, like, yeah, all right. Cut off 6 races off the top. Make it 6 races cheaper. We could take that money and reapply it. And if the people who are doing like 14 races, they're saying, well, I can come up with 4 more. And I think we're going to see a different kind of Pro Stock next year. And I've also heard that there are going to be as many as 3 Mustangs. There you go. Now we're talking. Still more work to be done, though. Let's not all get super happy just yet. It's only PRI. Let's keep going. I did see Bo Butner. Bo's going to come on the show at some point. And he's back, and it's just, it's cool. It's a cool thing to see, people change their minds, and I love it. All right, moving on. We got Paul Nero coming up, but right now I want to tell you about catspotlitter.com. Don O'Neill is also coming up, audio from PRI later on in the show. Catspotlitter.com, looking at a lot of the race cars out there. Cat Spot on the side of many of them, because Tommy Thompson's company is supporting racers, and the reason I know that is because Scott Palmer, who is a friend of the show, and friend of most people out there, jumped on to support WFO Radio with Cat Spot Litter. But they've also got Magic Dry. Fact of the matter is this. First of all, your cat's going to love it. But also, you're supporting the sport of drag racing. And it's good for the environment and good for the earth. Those things together, no-brainer. Go to catspotlitter.com and get on board with it. But really, there's other reasons, too. Like you don't have to carry around a big, heavy bag of cat litter, or the missus doesn't. And you don't have to deal with that cloud of chemicals. All of those things. If you don't have a cat, Magic Dry is the product. Basically, a great spill drying mechanism made out of the same biodegradable, renewable entity, coconuts. It's really cool. Magic Dry. Go to catspotlitter.com to find out more. Big thanks to Scott Palmer and the team. Congratulations on a solid season, a great year where they improved. Points position maybe didn't show, but the way they ran on the racetrack in the close races by 1,000th of a second here and there certainly did. Catspotlitter.com. When we come back, Paul Nero, our top dragster, world champion in 2018, will join us here on WFO Radio. Don O'Neill later on in the show. Stick around.
It ain't just wide open. It's WFO.
Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstafers on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series, sportsman racers in the Racing RV's top dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstafers is to increase the productivity in the shop. Metalworking lubricants, coolants, all kinds of stuff. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstafers.com to find out more information. Alan Reinhardt always says, like, the one thing that DSR and JFR have in common is Hangstafers metalworking lubricants. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO radio listeners in their shop. Hangstafers metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Hey, WFO Universe, want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
Hey, everybody, this is Joe Costello. When I'm at the racetrack, I am always checking out the cars to see what's hot, what's cool, what is the nicest and best and most effective piece out there. And what I am finding is that the folks at Aerospace Components have got it going on. They've been in business for over 30 years. Everything is made in America, and they are family-owned and operated. Aerospace Components is a name known throughout the racing industry as one of the leaders in manufacturing high-performance drag racing products. And if you go to their website right now, Aerospace Components, you can check out exactly what I'm talking about. Check it out. That's aerospacecomponents.com. Let them know you heard it on WFO.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
We are back. We are now back. WFO Radio. The Ignition Show going to happen this week as well. And I will be in Johnson City, Tennessee. It is snowing. It's going to be crazy for me. Everybody else up there is going to be totally normal. And I'm thinking back to PRI, though, and just all the great people that are involved with WFO that we got to see, like David Allen, the David Allens, father and son. Talking about HusseyPerformance.net, copper head gaskets, any bore, any size, any thickness for whatever you have. If you are a truck puller or an engine builder or whatever you do, if you require copper head gaskets to exact specifications to get that perfect compression ratio, they can do it. Bottom line is they're experts in copper and where to purchase it, and that gives them the best initial product. We're talking about accuracy to 0.005 of an inch. And if you need something custom, it doesn't take a long time. You just got to call them. And we're talking about their personal cell phone number, 724-318-8292. Or go to HusseyPerformance.net. You can see everything they've got. 724-318-8292. David personally inspects every single gasket that they ship. And one more thing that was very important to all of them over there is that everything is made in America, including their machines. And that is big. 724-318-8292, HusseyPerformance.net. All right, let's keep on going with our world champions. Next up, our Racing RV's top dragster world champion. Here, the WFO Radio Parade of Champions, just rolling along. Paul Nero, a first-time champ, joins us now. Paul, congratulations.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. We keep the show going through the winter break, and it actually, I mean, I don't want to say it's better, but everybody's a champion for the most part. You know, we get to talk to everybody, but what's really cool is to speak with first-time world champions such as yourself. Top dragster, a very tough category, and you pulled it off. How's it feel?
It's pretty awesome. Kind of coming from a bracket race, history where I didn't run a lot of NHRA stuff for the last 5 or 6, 7 years. It's kind of a great end of a run of accomplishments that I've achieved the last couple 3 years, and it's very rewarding.
Wow, that is great. Rattle off the accomplishments for the listeners out there. We have made everybody aware of the flow chart, right? From your local track test and tune to your local track bracket racing to NHRA divisionals. There's big money bracket racing. They know and understand what's going on out there. So prior to becoming a Racing RV's NHRA world champion and top dragster, what were you doing? What were some of your successes that led you to this point?
Well, I kind of started off bracket racing around the Northwest. Several just bracket race championships in the mid-'90s. And then in 2000, I actually won a Super Street National event at Seattle. And I had a Super Street car, sold it, got my first dragster, did some more bracket racing, did fairly well. Then up here in the Northwest, they started a class which was called Top Comp, which was combined, what you would combine top sportsman, top dragster nowadays into one class. And it was kind of the predecessor to what it is today. I ran that for a couple of years, but it wasn't a national class, and they didn't run a national event. So I did that all the way through 2000, I think 9, and then they split them, Top Dragster, Top Sports, and went their own way. And then since then, I've won, this would be my 5th Top Dragster Division 6 championship, 3 in a row. And then I finished 2nd last year in the world, then came back this year and finished 1st. That's kind of a quick little summary of the last, well, I guess it's a lot of years, but a few years.
There you go. So you're like the Steve Torrance of Top Dragster. Came in 2nd last year and got angry and came back with a vengeance.
Yeah, after last year, I just my car's not as fast as the guys back east. They really haul back there, so I have to be a little bit strategic in how I plan my events and where I go. And I left one national event sitting on the table last year at Dallas because I was concerned I wouldn't be able to qualify. I had a couple borrowed cars lined up. They fell through, and I had a lot of people tell me, boy, that was your one shot. You didn't go. You left the national event on the table. I would have had to improve quite a bit, but the points were there. The upside was there, and I got, several people saying you blew it. You should have gone. That was one chance. And to come back this year and get another chance, it's very rewarding and satisfying for sure.
Wow. That is great to hear that you were able to shake it off. So many people, they get their one chance and it doesn't work out, and the rest of their life they're like thinking about, oh my goodness, what if I had done a different thing? That having been said, though, remind me what your car runs, and if you're talking about Texas, yeah, they're very quick and fast down there. Qualifying is not a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, so my car's a 2014 Undercover with a 632 motor in it. On motor, I'm a 690 car. On the Nitrous, I'm a 660 car. So on the West Coast, I'm able to survive out here, but the deal with Top Dragster is tough, especially at national events where they take a certain amount of cars, 36. So the fields are, with grade points, you have the potential for it to being really fast, but if a lot of guys with slower cars jump in, then the bump the potential's there, but you just never know. So I just have to be, careful when I go anywhere, basically away from the West Coast for the most part.
No, makes sense. All right, so 2018 starts. Are you thinking, I'm on a mission to go win what I didn't win last year, or are you just starting another season feeling good about having the number 2 on the car and, seeing what happens? What was your mindset?
A little bit of both. I mean, we were satisfied with number 2. That is very rewarding, and we loaded our schedule this year in the idea of let's make sure we get 5 in. Let's get 5 national events in and get our 8 divisional. Let's make our schedule give us a chance. If the racing works out and the results work out, then we'll be there at the end of the year. So that was the plan. On the West Coast, you basically, if you're going to stay on the West Coast, NHRA tells you what 5 national events you're going to run, because we only have the potential of 5 races that have Top Dragster out here, where if you're back east, you could pick and choose a little bit, but out here, you got to do Pomona, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Sonoma, and Seattle. That's your 5. So they tell you where you're going to go, so you just got to set up for it.
There you go. Now, your season started off fairly strong. I don't recall Pomona results, but I know Arizona's results, and we ended up speaking on the Parade of Champions. So you were able to start off 2018 with a race win very early on, and you were able to back that one up with basically a double up, the divisional and the national at Arizona. So AZ got you started off strong.
Absolutely. I mean, you always go to a national event thinking you have a chance to win, but you got to have that few rounds here or there and whatnot. Phoenix was right place, right time. I drove decent. It wasn't great. The car was, as usual, outstanding. So the car kind of pulled me through that one, and end up the day, kind of got lucky in the final round. My opponent, Roger Comstock, had me kind of nailed to the stake, and he made a mistake, and I was able to change the look at the finish line a little bit and got away with one.
Wow. Very cool. You also won the divisional. Then take me through the middle of the season, the meat of the season, knowing that you had started strong, and what happens there, because we have heard from drivers who have started strong and felt the pressure, like, wow, I've got this, or I've got an opportunity, and then went through a little bit of a slump and had to get it going again. Others dealing with mechanical issues. So kind of take me through the flow of your season up until where things started to get critical.
Well, it kind of, there's one round through the year that kind of gives you that feeling that, maybe this might be the year. In Phoenix, the Phoenix divisional event, and still way early in the year, I occasionally, in Division 7, you sometimes can find people that are maybe on the ladder that are not running so well. So I sprayed up on the ladder to get a guy that was having some issues. He didn't show up for first round, and first round single, I broke a rocker arm at about 1,100 feet. So I was 300 or 400 slow and down some mile an hour, and I actually coasted around to my trailer, had enough time to put a new rocker arm on it and go back and win the race. And if that would have been a competition round, I probably wouldn't have won that one. So that was potentially a 75-point swing on that lucky broken rocker arm situation. And
wow.
Then, through the year, it always goes up and down. You just kind of go through it. After I won Mission, which was still early in the year, I kind of started to get that feeling, okay, we're starting to add some points on here, and it's starting to look good. So that was, after Mission, it was, let's go get this thing kind of feeling.
Let's take a step back and pause, because many of our listeners, not all, certainly when I have Lucas Oil Series drivers on, I really hope that I have Lucas Oil Series fans and, friends and family of our guests, of course. But my opinion is that we are, educating the Nitro fans about the cool stuff that's going on in the Lucas Oil Series ranks, Racing RV ranks, so they can never, ever leave the grandstands, Paul. That's really what it is. You got to watch everything, right? You said something really interesting, I think. I sprayed up. So to me, that's a really, inside baseball conversation. Let's explain what you're talking about. You're monitoring your everything that's going on in the category. You pull into the property, unload this stuff, you begin your race process, you're making your time runs, you're doing all your stuff, you're monitoring yourself and your competition, and you notice that, there's some people that aren't doing that great, and you just told us your car's like, 690s on engine and 660s on spray, engine plus. So you said, yeah, I could get into a position where I could run the guy that's having troubles. To me, I think that most people don't even realize that you guys are doing those kind of things.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to explain. We'll give it a good shot here. So when you run the nitrous, you run the nitrous on a timer, kind of like a throttle stop car that throttle stops for a while. The timer turns the nitrous on and turns it off. Well, if you've got your tune-up and your data good enough, you can kind of know where to shut it off to run a certain ET. So if I'm at 690 on motor, I can make my car run anywhere from 690 to 666. And on a ladder, a sportsman ladder, one races 17, two races 18, so forth. Well, say the guy in number 31 is having trouble. He's already qualified, and if there's no alternates to fill his spot, he's just not going to be there for first round. So if you see where you're at on the ladder and where he's going to be, if you can go fast enough to get him on the ladder, I can spray up to that spot and try and get him. It's smart racing and just strategizing correctly to potentially make your day a little bit more successful.
Well, I love it. I think that is the sign of someone who is thinking about this at a higher level, someone who may go on to win a world championship. And in that case, the point is proven. Love it when a plan comes together. You made a move, and the move paid off by you avoiding almost certain defeat. And you were able to buy yourself a little time, fix your car, go out, race, win the race, and eventually become world champion. All right, let's talk about how things are coming down the stretch. You ended up with 608 points. Mark Jones had 545, so pretty strong victory. Al Kenny ended up third, Aaron Stanfield fourth. Those three drivers above 500 points. You, the only driver above 600 points. And that is not necessarily always the case, but top dragster, top sportsman are very competitive categories. So tell me about when things are getting critical and you're starting to taste that championship. And ultimately, I want to ask you about the moment that you became champion and where it happened.
Yeah, Mission was kind of the turning point for me. I thought this has a potential, and I went to Woodburn, Oregon, which is my home track, and I lost a really close race in the finals there. So we were a win runner-up back-to-back, and then the next weekend was actually the Sonoma divisional race, and I lost in the semis there. So in 3 weeks, I got wins, runner-up, semis. And at that point, I was at the 608 number, basically August 1st. Well, there's a lot of racing after August 1st, especially for people on the East Coast. So it was, I had potential to improve, but I kind of made it hard on myself because my results were so good in the first half. I was having to improve on semis and final round stuff. So after that, I just kind of hunkered around at that number. I didn't really improve, and I just had to sit back and, every week the wife and I had this grease board where I'd write everybody's name down, and I would calculate what they have and what their upside was. And, with today's networking and Facebook and all these results and Division III TV and all this stuff, tends to waste a lot of days because you end up watching the doggone computer so much.
Whoa! Wait, hold on. We gotta stop there. We need everybody watching NHRA All Access and D3 TV and whatever stream. The honeydew list has just got to get a little shorter, is all.
Yeah, well, NHRA All Access will kill your honeydew list because it's kind of funny how you just get up one morning and say, I'll watch a couple rounds and see how it's going, and then 4 o'clock rolls around and you haven't done anything because it's pretty. A lot of the people now have become accustomed to that, but I mean, think about in the early 2000s and in the 1990s and 80s, if you're in a national points chase, how did you know? I mean, now the information is so readily available. By the time you get ready to race, about everything possible about every opponent in the world because all the information and results and stuff. So it's really cool, really.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there's always a battle back and forth between like NHRA All Access. Does it work as good as we want it to work? And there are some times where it doesn't get going, and there are other times where it works flawlessly, and some people are irritated. And to me, I am always like, yeah, but the upside is way better than the downside. Of course, we're talking about something that's internet-based. They don't always work, period, no matter what it is. But it is the greatest thing for the sportsman racer to keep track of themselves, to keep track of their competition, to let their family know like what they're doing. I'm sure once upon a time you had to go explain to your friends, yeah, I'm a racer, I got a cool car, and they're like, man, whatever, Paul. And now you can show them and say, watch me race on this given day. It's cool to know that racers are using it.
Absolutely. I mean, you can go back, look at any round. I mean, you can even critique yourself if you want to get that crazy with it, but you can, potential sponsors, I can just take a run from that where you, Brian, Alan or Nate, you mentioned the sponsors, they pull it up and, hey, there's actually the car at the race, announcer saying the sponsors, and it gives them a view into what it really is, because it really is hard to describe to some people what you're doing or what it is until you actually show them. And I use it. It's a great tool, and I rarely have had problems with it. I know I've heard a lot of people on social media kind of bash a little bit, but it's worked great for me. I can go back and look at events. You can go back and look at on their on-demand stuff. You can go back and look at events, 2 or 3 years old. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, classic events too. So where were you exactly when you found out you were the world champ? I would imagine it was, at the second Vegas. Well, I don't know. You tell me. Where did the competition fall by the wayside? Where were you exactly when you realized you were a world champion?
I was actually I went to the Vegas Divisional. I ran Shane Thompson's top dragster car there because I was kind of over watching it on the computer, so I just flew down there and raced his car, and I was actually sitting in the bleachers with Kelly and Trevor Ritchie, some other great Division 6 top dragster racers up here, and just in the bleachers watching, and a guy, Frank Young from Division 7 down there with a fast blower car, he put Mark Jones out, and that was that. So in the bleachers watching like a fan.
What is that feeling like? Or, was everyone giving you high fives, and did the people around you know the situation?
There was a few people around me. There wasn't a ton, but I'm kind of a low-key guy, so I really don't do any crazy stuff. So, but I can tell you it happened. You kind of like, finally got, it's over, right? And then walking between the grandstands and Shane Thompson's trailer, as you walk along there, people are coming up to you and stuff. Then it starts to really sit in. It's, racers we're really competitive people, but when it gets right down to it, they're all generally, good to see you win and happy for you. And, a little side story on that is at the end of the day, they kind of want to take your picture with your sign and whatnot for social media and stuff. And so I'm up there getting my thing, and Mark Jones, the guy that finished second, him and his wife are up there, and they actually gave me a ride back to my trailer on the back of our golf cart after I just beat him for a national championship. And that's what it's all about. I mean, here's a guy that came all the way across the country with the potential of winning it, and he doesn't, and he's giving me a ride in his golf cart back to my trailer. That kind of sums up how the sportsman community is.
Wow, that is awesome. You win a world championship. Your peers are, heaping the love upon you. Now, in the future, you must text us your location in the grandstands, and not just you, all the other racers. If there's a big dramatic moment like, hey, I'm out here sitting in the stands, Section C, row 12. Here's where I am, in case things go good or bad, so we can point you out. But that is great stuff. All right, well, you are now a Racing RVs world champion, and it's going to be very cool to watch you in 2019. What are your plans? Are you going to try to defend? Are you going to run the same 5 nationals, same schedule? And, of course, this is something we haven't really talked about so much, but for the first time ever, Top Dragster will be available at the U.S. Nationals. Are you planning on going?
So my schedule is going to be basically mirror of last year, except for the Phoenix divisional race. They have moved to Tucson, which doesn't fit my schedule very well. So I'm going to add Kyle Seipel at Sonoma, which a quick mention to Kyle. Get well, be better, Kyle.
Yes, Kyle.
And then he's put a double there, double divisional. So I'm going to fill in with that double divisional, which makes 3 races in 2 weeks at Sonoma, and that's an awesome facility and ran really well, so that will be fun. And then the U.S. Nationals, this is kind of I'm going to try to go, but it actually is going to fall after I claim my 5th division or 5th national event at Seattle, so it's not going to count for points for me. And my car is not fast enough. So the thought process here is I am looking for, I'll put a plug in here.
Yeah.
Someone that has a car that is I'm going to say 620, 16 car that wants to go to U.S. Nationals that does not have enough grade points and wants to work out a deal.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking to do.
All right, let's dig down on that, Paul, because, listen, you're on the show. I know you know. We have a lot of racers out there that listen to the program. You're, of course, a world champion. You got the hot hand, top 2 the last 2 years in a row. If one of the WFO radio listeners out there supplies you with a car that can qualify for the U.S. Nationals, and then you go on and win the U.S. Nationals in said car, can WFO radio take 1% of your winnings?
Sure.
There it is.
You get a commission.
There it is. Just a little taste, by the way. Nothing huge. Just 1%.
Yeah, the U.S. National is going to be interesting because it's, with Top Dragster, they take 36 entries and 32 qualify. Well, I suspect here's the bump spot game again. That has the potential to be a really fast bump spot because of the cars back there. But I'm pretty well saying it's going to fill up on the first grade point entry. So 8's going to have 8 grade points, which for listeners that don't know, you get a grade point for every divisional race you go to. So basically it's going to fill up at the first entry of 8 grade points. So it's got the potential to be fast, but then you've also got past champions and gold card holders, which a gold card is what you get when you win a divisional championship or a national championship in your division. So I'm going to say the entry list is going to be more like 40 or 41 cars instead of 36.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it can, there's a little bit of buffer there above the 36 that have the potential. So it could be fast, but whatever it's going to be, it's going to be cool because it's the marathon, it's the U.S. Nationals. That's where I think every drag racer around says on their bucket list is probably to go to the U.S. Nationals. Well, now, I've thought about going to Super Comp, but kind of like Top Dragster. So now it's there. The carrot's out there. Just have to decide how to get it done.
That's it, just like they did with the World Championship and RacingRVs.com stepping up, made it a World Championship, and now you are a world champion. Paul, thank you for coming on WFO Radio. I really appreciate the championship debrief. Congratulations on the title. I hope to see you early next year. It is great. I love your story. I love how granular you get into the details for our listeners. Because that's what they need to understand. It's kind of like the Charlie Brown parents. You don't know what they're saying until you do. And it is my hope that our listeners who are logged on to hear about, John Force, Ron Capps, Tony Schumacher, Steve Torrence, that kind of stuff, say, wait a second, Steve Torrance's dad came out of Super Comp. I need to watch these racers out here, Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, Stock, Super Stock, Comp Eliminator, all these categories. And it's through interviews like this that I think they get that interest. So thank you for doing such a great job. You were really awesome.
Absolutely. Hey, one more thing on that, too, that I thought was kind of interesting. I was on social media. There was a guy that was kind of, Steve Williams, Super Comp champ. They were kind of making a comment about, this is really boring racing. I hate watching the throttle stop cars, but you got to give all these guys some respect because these are guys that are quite often working, a 40-hour plus week, driving all night to get there, and that's the class that they can afford to run. And the Super Comp, Super Gas, Super classes allow someone with a minimal budget to race competitively on a national event track. So next time the fans are in the grandstands and they all want to go get a cheeseburger as soon as those classes come up, give them a little respect and at least watch and learn a little bit. And keep in mind, those are guys just like them in the stands, and they're doing that class because that's what they can afford to do. So instead of just leaving and bashing on those guys, give them a little respect and learn it and watch a little bit of it, please.
Thank you for saying that. I totally agree. I don't know. I think Steve Williams might be able to do more than Super Comp. I think he chooses it, and I agree because, what is it that this is saying? Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not cool. And your comparison of the nitrous oxide kind of as the flip side of the throttle stop. It's, you're using timers to go faster, and they're using timers to go slower, but it's very similar once you really, truly understand it. Thank you for saying that. I'm sure all our, index racers out there are going to, they're going to buy you a mellow yellow next time they see you.
Do we have a few moments to thank a few people, too?
Yes. Go ahead, Paul. Who are your people?
Okay, so obviously we need to thank Racing RVs, Joe Fisher and Patty Fisher. They stepped up and have supported this class where NHRA is a little bit behind in supporting it, where they have stepped up and done that. And us racers in these two classes really appreciate them doing that for us. I need to thank Rad Toric Systems, Dan Provo, a great sponsor, Dave Stickland Motorsports, awesome supporter as well, and then Shane Thompson at Silver State Plumbing in Nevada. He's been really instrumental in this whole deal. And then Mo and Brenda Trujillo, you know that name from Top Dragster Racing. He is my nitrous guy. We call him Dr. Taco. You probably know why. You probably see those posts. And
yes,
he helps me out a lot. And obviously my wife, Christy, and my children, Lauren and Sammy. They just give me the time to dedicate to this like you really need to do. So that's those people are all really instrumental in my success, and I appreciate them all.
Well, that is great. We appreciate them as well. Every racer that wins a race or a championship, there is one or more people behind them supporting the effort, because it's just impossible to do all by yourself. Paul, congratulations. All the best to you. What about the holidays? What do you got planned? You're in the Northwest up there. So from what I understand, it doesn't get freezing cold up there. Maybe not raceable, but what do you got planned for the holidays? What are you going to do?
Got through Thanksgiving, which was fun. A few days off there, and then it gets a little cold and wet up here at times. It's not horrible, but like today's probably going to be 40 and partly cloudy. Just motors out, freshen up, trannies out, freshen up, cars torn apart in a million pieces, and actually someone posted like 9 weeks till Pomona, which is a little bit of an eye opener there. So maintenance and no time off. I use all my vacation time for racing, so I don't get those extra fun days during Christmas time because I got to save them for race season.
And what's your day job for those that are, aspiring? Like, what's this guy do? What do you do?
I am a service technician for Comcast, which is Comcast and Xfinity is the internet product, and we're the nation's leading internet provider and TV provider.
Wow, that is cool. Very good, very good. Paul, thank you again. Congratulations on your 2018 RacingRVs.com Top Dragster World Championship, and thank you for coming on the WFO podcast.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate everything you do for the racers.
Wait, Paul, okay, before I let you go, you got one more guy you want to thank, because people got to get thanked. Paul, go for it.
I always forget about this guy, but he's been a huge help, and a guy named Blaine Meyer. He helped me in Phoenix when we had the rocker arm issue, and he's been instrumental into helping me watch what's going on with the racing and with the car. So I just need to give him a shout out. Thank you.
There you go. Congratulations on the championship, Paul.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Paul Nero, our top dragster world champion, with us here on WFO Radio. Just great stuff. Wow, what a great personality, and getting the sponsors in and everything. Paul, great guy. It's like I had seen him around, but never had a good in-depth conversation. And I already feel like I know him real well. And that is what's true about so many of our drivers out there. Like, wonderful people. I think he's very media savvy. How about the fact he's got to go to all these races? He's got to plan out the races, otherwise he won't qualify. He's got to worry about qualifying. Very interesting stuff. Thanks to Paul for coming on the show, and huge congratulations on the World Championship. And I'm looking forward to next year as well. Just so many cool things going to be happening in Top Dragster. Oh, yes. Now, when we come back, we're going to hit PRI once again. Speaking of the top categories, Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, Don O'Neill from PRI going to explain exactly his big announcement. Going to be great stuff. But right now, I want to tell you Rodack's Coffee and Grills.com story. Oh, yeah, Marvin Rodak. He was working in an auto repair shop, really, and the coffee would just kind of cook itself into a grizzle. And he said there's got to be a better way, so he got interested in coffee and became an expert, make connections around the world. They've been doing it since 1976, so think about that timeline. And now they are blending and creating their own blends from the best coffee around the world. For instance, Funny Car Chaos, Bang the Blower, all kinds of blends that are drag racing themed, even a WFO Radio blend or a Schumacher Champion blend. I think there's even a Capco blend that are made for specific racers and their taste, right? And you can call Marvin. Now, what I am telling everybody to do is use this opportunity to bring your friends in and introduce them to Rodack's Coffee by getting a Rodack's holiday pack. Call Marvin. You can get a pound of coffee, a container of spice rub, and a bottle of their amazing hot sauces. Now, my favorite is the Habanero Endorphin Booster, but I digress. To me, that's one of the best hot sauces I've ever had in my entire life, honestly. It is fantastic. But I can't force you to like what I like. Maybe you don't like hot stuff. I like it. To me, it's perfect on everything, on breakfast, on lunch, on dinner, on milk, whatever it is, just right out of the bottle. The Habanero Endorphin Booster. I know you're thinking, milk? I haven't tried that one, honestly. Call Marvin. That's where you start. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. Tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio. That's your WFO. And you want the holiday packs for a couple of your friends. And send them out. and they will love you because it's going to arrive. They're going to open it. They're going to be greeted by this wonderful coffee aroma, and it's perfect because they're roasted fresh per your order. Plus, the spice rub and the hot sauce will last well into 2019. Well into 2019. 817-924-6821. That is RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. When we come back, we're going to throw it back out to PRI.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me.
Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
You've been listening to WFO Radio for a long time now, and you hear these racers all talking about how much they spend, how much they travel, how hard they work, all to accelerate really, really quickly. Well, Frank Hawley and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School has figured a way for you to do it at a fraction of the price, the work, the effort, the time. It is a fun experience. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com and investigate. They travel the country. They're coming to a track near you. They put on a program. You make 3 runs, a half track, and 2 full track passes. No ride along. You drive it. You are the driver. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more and tell them you heard it on WFO.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey, this is Scott Palmer, driver of the NHRA Cat Spot Litter Top Fuel Dragster. Do you have a cat? Go to catspotlitter.com, order it today. All natural product, made out of coconuts, 100% biodegradable. All you NHRA fan, cat owners, support our team. Go to catspotlitter.com.
Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets. You got to call David directly. 724-318-8292. Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets for you engine builders out there. These guys are supporting WFO. Check them out. It is husseyperformance.net.
This is Sean from Traverse City, Michigan. You ever get done with an episode of Ignition or Nitro and say, man, that's a good job. I'd like to give them a pat on the back and a cold beer. Well, with Patreon, you can. So send that drink down to Gio and Joe.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
We are about to go back out to the Indiana Convention Center and PRI, the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show. But first, I want to tell you about motorsportsguys.com. Mail order, parts, pieces, oil, filters, they've got it all. Go to motorsportsguys.com. In fact, open a browser, do it right now. Do it right now. Motorsportsguys.com. Bookmark the site, and if nothing else, just investigate the site. Check it out. All you WFO radio listeners, check out the site. Bounce around, see all kinds of stuff that they got from All-Star Performance Racing and Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. Terry McMillan had his vehicle in the Motor State Distributing Lane Automotive booth out at PRI. It was kind of cool with the body panels up. You could see all the frame rails and the fuel line and everything that happens underneath the skin of a top fuel dragster. It was really, really cool. But also, Amalie Motor Oil. They've got oil, they've got filters, they've got the Pro Racing oil with Molly, used by so many pro racers, including Terry, for the larger tuning curve to avoid those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression with better ring seal for you top fuel guys. If you're a regular dude like me, 2050, 1030, 520, get your next oil change at motorsportsguys.com. Get the filter right there and add that Vegas Wind Tribute hat and use the promo code WFO and the hat will be free. That'll be free. Amalie Motor Oil, better than it has to be since 1903. Motorsportsguys.com, better than they have to be since just the other day. But the AmalieStore.com is now motorsportsguys.com. Big thanks to Terry McMillan for supporting WFO Radio. Although I did not get to speak with Terry while out at PRI. I did see him up on the NHRA stage and the live stream right as I was running to the airport. On Saturday morning, I think I saw him up there. I'm carrying my bag through there. I'm gone. Moving on. It was a good morning, and I was actually able to connect with our guest, as we're going to throw it back out to PRI, Don O'Neill, friend of show, tried and true, Lucas Oil Series racer, sportsman racer, has been coming on WFO back in the satellite days. Used to listen to us on XM way back in the day while he was towing across the country, as I hope so many do now. Use the show as entertainment for get you from place to place, from A to B, from city to city. You're out there on the long, lonesome highway. Let's kick it back out there to PRI and hear from Don O'Neill following his massive announcement. WFO Radio from the PRI Trade Show. We are on the floor, and who do we run into but a great friend of the show for many, many years, Don O'Neill. Don, hello, good morning, welcome, how are you?
Good morning, Joe. How are you doing?
I am great, but not as good as you. I'm having a great show. It's been a lot of fun. The WFO Radio listeners love to hear stuff from the floor, and you're it this year. We've been busy. You've been busy. I've been busy. Everyone's busy. This has been a great show.
It has been probably more than likely the best PRI show I've had since 2009 when we unveiled the Mullis Army car in Orlando, which I think may have been the last time we had a show in Orlando. Unveiling our new to us Jerry Haas Pro Stock Camaro out of the Elite Camp that we're going to run in Top Sportsman next year with, as everybody's going, another nitrous motor. No, we're going to use a 427 LS Magnuson supercharged. Oh, I got goosebumps, Joe.
You did. Everybody I see,
it's shocking. We're going different, and we're going to stick this thing in this lightweight car, and we're going to go out here and see what we can do in 2019 with NGK and Tubba and Patterson Elite Power out of the Elite group.
All right, you got to stop. You got to stop, Don. You got to stop because, no, we got to break this down. We got to, digest it because this is amazing. First of all, Don O'Neill, friend of show, been running Top Sportsman and doing a great job doing PR for other teams and hustling. You're a hustler. Everybody knows that. If nothing else, Don O'Neill, man, this guy is hustling. He really wants to be involved in NHRA drag racing so much. He has been pushing and doing and really making and creating and all of that. But we knew you had a big announcement and it was coming and, what's the announcement going to be? All right, Don, Don's got a sponsor to run Top Sportsman, which is kind of rare. There are sponsors in Top Sportsman, but very often it's like a relative, a friend, somebody, a business. You see a business that's owned by the driver. Right? This is not that. You have worked and built a relationship with the people at NGK. You've had success with them, winning at the NGK 4-wide last year, and just shown them a great drive and determination. You've built upon it, and now you have a good corporate relationship that is going to back a championship run in Top Sportsman. That alone is a great story. So let's just focus on that for a second because then I got a million questions about the car.
Okay.
Putting that together, you've got to be so thrilled. You're going to go out there, you're going to rep a company in a category that you love because ultimately you're a bracket racer, an index racer, and you get to do that at the highest level.
That is absolutely correct. It's... you talk about having a corporate company to be involved in sportsman racing. Let's just call it sportsman racing.
Sure.
Even though we're allegedly the quickest door slammers in the Lucas Oil class, right, in the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series, but at the same time, we're at that pinnacle of being a stepping ground, or the minor leagues, if you will, trying to go to the professional side. And here I am. We're getting ready to enter into our 4th year in Top Sportsman. We've had 2 solid years with VP, who's still involved in this program. Big supporters, but finished in the 8th in the world last year. A 7th finish again this year. We've had 2 back-to-back years where we've won Wallies, and we're moving forward. And to be able to bring in a company like NGK and NTK, which they're getting on board as another company within NGK, to put those product lines in front of people at the racetrack that are everyday people. I'm an everyday guy. Army retiree, 23 years. I drive for everyday people that own everything. My wife's an everyday person, and we don't want people to think that NGK or NTK or Tubba or any of these companies that are involved with this are high-performance products. They are, but they're for everyday people. And so we want to get out there and we want to make sure that all that goes on and everybody knows that when they go into their local auto parts store, we want them to ask for NGK and NTK. And if they're do-it-yourselfers, we want them to make sure to get a tub of Tubbo towels when they go to change their spark plugs or their O2 sensors.
You're so good at this. Okay, now the car. That's why we all know this is why and how this is happening for you. And I'm sure there are young aspiring racers who are watching and thinking about you man, this Don O'Neill, man, he's doing a really good job. He's doing exactly what I want to do, and they're going to follow in your footsteps. But, okay, now the car. Huge upgrade. Okay, I love the Monty. Monty's cool, but You got a Jerry Haas chassis?
Yes, I do.
You get to drive a Jerry Haas chassis, man. Just that.
I actually am getting to drive a Pro Stock Jerry Haas car that has Pro Stock National Event Wallies for not only the Gray family, but for Alex Laughlin. Proven piece out of the Elite camp. And now I'm going to add Elite horsepower to it with Patterson Elite. And if you don't think the Copo side, they build great horsepower.
Yeah.
And we're
Ask David Rampy.
Right, 100 wins.
You run the same stuff David Rampy runs, the same engine builder.
Right. And
in a Haas chassis.
Exactly.
You got to be freaking out.
I said it when we started this whole process, is that I had to get the right financial capital and the right human capital together. Right now, I am in the best situation of my career. I have the best of both worlds, and I've got long-term relationships that are in place. There are great companies that are behind us, and moving forward, this is going to be fun. An LS motor in a Pro Stock car.
Explain the power plant, the combination. I mention which power plant is out there when these cars come up. 9 out of 10 times, it's a big block Chevrolet with nitrous or a ProCharger.
Yep.
Nitrous more often than not in Top Sportsman, ProCharger and Top Dragster. What is this that you're running?
So this was not a competitive decision. This was a business decision of going with the LS engine and the Magnuson supercharger, because right now, the next generation, you hear everybody talking about how are we going to entertain to the next generation of spectators, consumers. Okay, don't get me wrong, the Monte was great to me, but unless you got gray hair, you don't know what a Monte Carlo is.
But you do have gray hair.
I do have gray hair, right? And you don't really care about 2 big carburetors and 2 stages of nitrous or 3 stages. Going down the racetrack, it's don't get me wrong, it's cool, but it's not.
Everybody's got it,
right? But when you walk by and see a new body style Camaro, and you slide the front end off, and it's got a Magnuson sitting on top of it, and it's an LS motor, and it's a 427, it's a small block,
great stuff,
right? And now we're going to be going somewhere probably in a range of 670s, 680s and a quarter. That says something, because you can go into a Chevrolet dealership and see a Magnuson sitting on top of a Copo in a showroom. You can order that. So why would you not be involved? Why would you not get excited about it? Young kids know what LS is. Young parents know what LS is. So it was a business decision to get companies involved so we could sell more parts for them and be unique at the drag race, at LS events, away from drag racing and LS events, so we can be out in the public eye, educating people, impacting them, hooking them. What? It's not a turbo. How many times have I said that? Oh, you're going to turbos? No. Oh, you're going to ProCharger? No. What are you doing? It's not nitrous. There's no scoop. No. Well, what are you doing?
Yeah, and just getting people to care. Just that alone. What do you mean? What are you doing? What is this? That's a great thing to have people ask you.
We've had people that are like, that I haven't tried for 10, 15 years to have relationships with, product support, brand ambassador, and it's been no. And it's like, well, this is what you're doing? Oh, yeah, we want in. Don't do it without us. We're not saying no, but we want to hear more. And, the car's out there in the hallway and the board is in front of it, and there's the who's who of high-performance companies that's on there that are involved in the program, and I can't be more excited about it. More people have come up and said, man, that's going to be cool, and I hope it is, because it should be exciting all year in 19.
It's one of the great stories of this particular show. Okay, so now, we're going to do this all year long, but you're going to run for the Top Sportsman World Championship.
Yes, I am. We're going to run 8 nationals. We'll run 8 divisionals. We're going to run a couple LS events, and we're going to give it a go, and we're going to kick our season off at the 4 Ys, defend that title, and unveil the car on the racetrack for the first time to the public in April at the Z-Max Dragway for NGK Nationals.
Wow, no gators, though.
No gators. No, that's part of the deal. We want to keep the hoopla going.
Yeah.
We're going to go through a bunch of tech article builds. Patterson Elite's, they're deeply involved right now in getting the engine program put together. We'll get it back, so hopefully sometime around the end of January, beginning of February. We're going to do some chassis dyno time in February and March. And when we hit the racetrack,
wow, you're getting this thing right. I love that. I love that.
Well, we are. We got great companies involved, and so we have a lot of opportunities for the tech side, the conversion side to be done, and to be able to do that and share that with the community. Obviously, digital social media is going to be huge. So, I don't know that we're going to show any dyno numbers or anything during any of the social media time frame, but you're going to see it. You'll hear it.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to that.
That is great stuff. Okay, finally. I think, I like to think that the audience in WFO want to help you. Not just you, but all the racers that, people that come on the show. They're listening to this podcast for a reason. They love this stuff and they get to know people. And so, okay, NGK Spark Plugs, they go in. What's the way to tie that to Don O'Neill? To let the person at the local auto parts store or the people at NGK know that this program is working? Is there, how do you tie it together and bring it home for the audience member that wants to go out there and next time they get NGK Spark Plugs or whatever, let the people they're buying it from know, man, we're doing this because of the Don O'Neill program.
Oh, I hope initially they would always use hashtag NGK Racing. We definitely have our social media presence at Don O'Neill Racing. I'm the drag racing Don O'Neill on WFO, not the dirt track racing Don O'Neill, yes, which I seem to always go through at trade shows. Yeah. But yeah, we want them to tie that in. Mention us. Go out, grab a picture of our car off of the social media, use it on their deal. Hashtag it, Instagram, Snapchat. We're on all of them. So I'd hope they do that. We are working on a program that we're going to start rewarding customers and attendees at events to go out and get discounted buy-in rates at NGK and NTK. So have to keep you on the hook for that one, Joe.
Well, that's great. No, that's great. That's good. So it's just been a couple of days and you got it all ironed out. Don, listen, congratulations, seriously, just as a friend, watching you grow and develop and do and chase and win and, fight through some adversity and come out better on the other side has been fun to watch. And I really think that this is the beginning. We've just finished the end of the beginning. And now we're into the real story of Don O'Neill. I wish you luck.
Thank you very much, Joe, and we look forward to seeing everybody in 2019 for NGK and Tub of Towels.
How about that? Don O'Neill going to run an LS power plant with a supercharger, flat hood. Got power from Patterson Elite. They're tying in all the sponsors, doing such a great job as a sportsman racer. And I really believe that, the marketing savvy folks are the ones that advance the ball. And Don has always been exactly that, marketing savvy, and has done great things he probably learned in the United States Army. Just continue to assault, and he has done a great job. I was very happy to catch up with Don out there, and I'm real happy for Don and Diane. They're going to do great, and it's going to be very interesting to see bringing in relevant technology. Not that a big block Chevrolet with a Pro Charger is not relevant, but it's relevant to bracket racers. This is actually factory-style technology. Very interesting stuff. And thanks to Don for coming on the show. Just one of the great things out there at PRI. Another great thing was the folks at the Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants booth, Hangstafers Laboratories. Tommy Johnson was out there. Antron was out there. I passed by a couple of times, saw some WFO radio listeners. Matt and Zach Sackman were out there. And it was a whole lot of fun. Mike from Hangstafers answering questions, talking to the folks out there on Machinery Row. It was really good. So go to hangstafers.com to find more information. You could probably tell it was a long week of a lot of conversations, but we got through it and had a lot of fun. So, yeah, Sackman and I are in the racing simulators, and here I am. I got a chance to whoop them, right? And to me, it's great because I got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And when the racer, the person who does it on a semi-regular basis, right, is in there, they've got everything to lose and very little to gain because whoever beats me, no big deal. But if I beat you, watch out. Which brings us to my time, the very tail end of the show. And so Matt and I get into the dragsters, and immediately he's beating me, right? He's beating me, but not badly, just by a couple of thou. He's 38, I'm 41. He's 35, I'm 43. He's 28, I'm 38. That kind of deal. But he's whooping me, like right off the bat, whooping me. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a little bit of an excuse in that I'm used to reacting to the tree on a button. Trans brake button. These simulators have the button mechanism connected to the pedal, which is, more professional drag racing style, right? You stage with the brake, like you push the brake pedal, and the stage bulb comes on the practice tree. And then when the tree ignites, you smash the gas. and that's how you react to it. It's pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. And so we did, let's call it 20 hits. And so we're going, and he's whooping me pretty good and everything. But then, I know what to do. Break the action. All right, 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. Stop that. That was practice. We were talking about practice. That was nonsense. Now is the real deal. And so, first one, Matt wins. And I'm very consistent. I'm 041, 041, 043, 041, 039, 041. But I can't get the speed, man. I can't react quicker. And he's just naturally quicker. So first one out of the box, best of 3 for the championship of the world. Sackman wins. All right. Am I going to get swept? I can't get swept here. If he wins this next one, I'm done. So I really got up on the wheel. Bang, beat him. Now I'm back in it. And here it is. Matt Sackman versus Joe Costello for the Practice Tree Championship of PRI, at least for that minute. Nobody else knew this was happening except for us. Didn't care. And the tree came down, and Sackman's 004, and I'm 041. Maybe 038. And that was it. It was over, and I lost. But, boy, we had a good time. There's so much fun to be had on the practice tree. And I think there's some trick to it, like how much slack is in the system. Sackman was up on the wheel. But great times. A lot of fun. Thank you very much. And, that brings me to just some generic and general PRI stories. If I were to tell you, what happened over the course of the, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I really can't recall much of anything. It's a blur. So many people, hundreds of people that or within the racing industry, but also WFO radio listeners. People are stopping me, saying, hi, I listened to the podcast. Thank you for the podcast. It needs to be long. It needs to be longer. There needs to be more. We enjoy it. Thank you for it. Love that stuff. Ran into Kim Cussy and Al Cussy from aerospacecomponents.com by the NHRA stage. Speaking of which, great sponsor on WFO Radio, brakes, vacuum pumps, billet components. Go to aerospacecomponents.com to find out more and talk about a great gift. Kim was wearing her Kimmy's Garage gear. That is her online show. It is on social media accounts and, of course, the website aerospacecomponents.com. But what makes them better is that they have some of the best equipment in the business. They're aerospace industry veterans who happen to have a passion for drag racing. And they're on the west coast of the state of Florida. Go to aerospacecomponents.com, check out their wave brake rotor, check out their pedal sets. But for me, the front billet brakes, available in just about any color, is the ultimate. aerospacecomponents.com. Give them a call and tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio, or at very least, thank them for supporting the show if you like the show. It's Kim Cussy, Al Cussy, aerospacecomponents.com. Yes, it was a fun show. My friend Ed Fetterkyle went on the NHRA stage. He's going to be out there running for a championship and competition eliminator next year. I was like, Ed, are you going to run for the championship? Yes. I'm not going out there to finish second. I'm not going out there to just be there, is what he said. Because, honestly, that would be an unbelievable thing, to go out there first year in a long time and win a championship. But the team he's got around him, like David Nickens, back out there, that's pretty amazing and cool. And they're for real. Like, this is what they're doing in 2019. So, very exciting stuff. The rumor mill. Oh, my gosh, the rumor mill. This is happening. That's happening. These guys are gone. This car is not this car anymore. It's going to be a different car. But it's just all in flux. The Paul Lee announcement with Jim O, Paul Lee, all that, Clay Millican, Mike Klober, that strategy group. Everybody's excited. Everybody is excited about it. They're going to give sponsors the opportunity to be on many cars, not just one. And so that they have scale. All the top fuelers out, but the funny cars in. That kind of thing. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting. So it was a great PRI. More stories in the future, of course, we will discuss. Also, you can watch Performance TV on Velocity Network to see some of the stuff I did. Myself, Kathy Fisher, we had a lot of fun as well. Speaking of which, our Ignition show will be from Johnson City, Tennessee, or at least that's the plan, because I am headed up there to record the next couple of episodes of Performance TV on Velocity Network. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Big thanks to Alan Reinhart. The Dick LaHaye stories, just awesome. Very sad in that, legends of the sport and greatly successful people who influenced a lot of other greatly successful people passing on now at this point. Very sad. But thanks to Alan, and of course, I'm sure there are more memories out there that we will be discussing over the coming weeks and months here on WFO Radio. As you know, the show continues. That is going to do it, folks. I really appreciate it. Thanks to Don O'Neill and Paul Nero and Tanner Gray. Of course, Alan Reinhart. Thanks to all of you. We'll be back next week, and we'll get back after it. Don't forget those questions for Reinhart. 1, record it into your phone. Just do the voice memos thing, and then email it to me, joe@wforadio.com. That way, you can give yourself the thumbs up, like, yeah, I like this. 2, you can keep it to like 20 seconds. Or you can use our voicemail line, 954-889-6796. And if none of those things work, you can always send us just a regular email, and I'll read it. And whatever the question is about, a Reinhart project, something about pro stock, something about sports and racing, something that happened over the course of the year, a situational thing, who knows what it might be. joe@wforadio.com. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Have a great week. Don't forget, stay connected to our social media, everything WFO. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.